Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity, a show about weirdos. With your hosts, John Fahey, Aaron Peter, and Matt Brousseau.
Hello, folks. Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity. It's a show about weirdos, doggone it. My name is John Boy. I'm your host, John Francis Fahey. Joining me, as ever, is the mind of the millennium. Look at him. Aaron Josephita. Aaron Josephita. How are you? A real fart smeller.
Great!
I'll turn him down.
I'm good. How are you?
You just say positive. Good things are coming.
Good day to you.
How you doing, Aaron?
Pretty good.
You look great.
Thank you. Took a
Nice,
shower.
crisp tan.
Oh, you know, I got a little sun.
Splashing around in the
Wait, you
pools.
do?
I got a little sun.
Oh, I see.
Shine.
Shine?
I came up with a porno title.
Okay.
That's cool. Let's hear about that.
It's a GILF-themed BDSM porno.
Okay, now a GILF for everybody is a grandmother.
Granny,
that
I'd
you'd
like
love
to fuck. It's a, you know,
Grandfather. I don't know.
yeah, sure. But it's called
And BDSM is, of course, bondage.
bondage and discipline sadomasochism.
Yes.
So this one is called Indentured Servants. Because you're in them.
Yeah.
No, I got that.
And they're
I
serving you.
I got all of the parts.
Yeah.
And they have
Dentures.
dentures.
Yeah. These servants, like, old.
Oh, God.
I'm the only solid
But
food
they're
you're going to have.
experienced. And those dentures come out.
Oh, my God.
And in.
To my right,
My left.
Rob Load,
That's really good.
Matt Brousseau.
That's really good.
2 syllables.
That's really good.
Yeah, that's
he
great.
also he has big Rob Lowe energy.
Yeah, big Rob Load energy.
Yeah. I have a hat that says sports on it.
Oh, cool. Literally. I literally have
Literally. Great show.
his show.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to it.
Oh, really? It's very, very good.
Okay, well, listen to this one first.
Sure. Yes, of course.
Come on.
But, you know, he's very nice to listen to.
He is. He's
Yeah.
the best.
Matt, how are you?
I'm good.
What did you think about the whole indentured servants thing?
I loved it.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah. Wait. You're saying it like you did it?
No, I'm not. No,
pretty cool, huh?
No,
Yeah.
I'm just still stuck on the idea of a bunch of old people crawling around in leather.
They don't have to
Like,
crawl.
They're already so tired. Well, they're servants. If they're
Yeah.
any good, they're crawling.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
You know?
True.
Trays on their backs and shit like that. I'm a coffee table, sweetheart.
Help, I've fallen to get you off.
I'm having chest pain.
It's because I'm stepping on it with my boot.
Yeah.
I know you are, old man. I'm stabbing
Yeah.
you. Oh,
That's
God.
good.
I like that title a lot. Well, here we are, boys. We are, of course, still fierce as ever on the Patreon. $5 a month, an extra episode per week.
Yeah.
True.
Great fun.
That's true.
We were talking about, what are you talking about? We talked about
All
talked
sorts
about a bunch of shit
Steven
last time.
Seagal.
Calvinism, Quislings.
yes, Quisling. Yes, we talked about collaborators in the Second World War. It was a grand old time. Grand old time.
ABBA.
ABBA.
That's right, Abba. Yeah, Abba did come up.
But Matt, today you are up. What do you got?
Well, not much, John. I'll see you guys later.
Okay.
Oh. No, I guess I'll start. I got a real scoundrel for you.
Uh-oh.
Real American scoundrel.
Great.
I'm going to. I'm just going to read off a list of names. All of these are real people, and all of them are associated with the story I'm going to tell you.
Sam Speed.
Minnesota Fats. Nick the Greek, Howard Hughes, Ben Hogan, Al Capone, Amarillo Slim, Gene Harlow, Raymond Floyd, Damon Runyon, Hubert Daddy Warbucks Cokes, Myrna Loy, Harry Houdini, Kevin Cook, George Hump McManus.
A lot of heavy hitters there.
And there's one more name, and it's a name we need to get this started, boys.
Okay.
We're going to go back to 1912.
Okay.
Small town in Arkansas, there's a 20-year-old kid. He's away from home, and he's pretty new to the road. He's traveling town to town faster than word of mouth can catch up and bite him in the ass. Finds a pool hall, and he asks, who's the best player in town? And they point him over to this one guy, and he tells the guy, he said, $500. I bet you $500. We'll play for $500. And a wager like that is about $15,000 today. That gets the pool owner,
Yeah.
the supposed shark's attention. His name's Snow Clark,
Snow Clark.
Snow Clark is the owner.
owner of this pool hall. And he owned the place, and he played like it. So Clark steps up, and he says, I'll take that bet. And now they probably didn't play for $500 right away. You know, they probably started small, worked their way up to it. And Snow Clark probably won the first few games. And the kid, he probably said, fuck my bad luck, or the table's all fucked up, or my arms are tired, or, I just haven't played in a while.
Yeah.
And then the kid probably said, how about double or nothing? And then Snow Clark took that bet.
Sure.
And then suddenly, double or nothing they did. And then suddenly, the double was maybe $100, and then suddenly the kid won. And then suddenly in the flash, Snow Clark was behind $200, and then $300, then $400, then $500.
Good God. And rent's due.
And before that $500 ball falls, that final one, probably long before that ball fell, Snow Clark knew he'd been had. There are suckers and there are sharps. Sometimes the sharps don't know when they're the sucker.
Damn.
Now, $500 richer, the kid wasn't done. On his way out, he sees a sign by the doorway. It says, $200 to the first man who can jump over my new pool table. Now, this kid, he'd already taken all of the man's pool money.
Right.
What about his jumping money now, too?
Yeah.
That's good jumping money.
That's good.
The world was his for the taking, and it's just 54 inches for the rest of it. The kid excuses himself. He says, I'll be right back. He goes to a flea bag motel where he buys a flea bag mattress, and he brings it back 10 minutes later. Puts it down on the floor on one side of the pool table, and he crosses to the other side of the pool table, backs up, does a running start, jumps, somersaults, and lands on his back, clearing the pool table.
Jiminy Christmas.
A local man nearby asked Snow Clark, this precocious kid, this little precocious little bastard, what's his name? It's 1912, remember? Snow Clark said, I don't rightly know, but it ought to be Titanic. He sinks everybody.
That's good.
So that is where
Topical.
our profile gets his name. He'd be known as Titanic Thompson.
Yeah.
Oh.
And he's America's greatest ever proposition gambler.
Now, do we have a parody of Titanic that we know of? Is there a Titanic or even a Guy-tanic?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Well, if it's a Titanic, it is a guy Titanic.
Yeah.
It could be Guy Panic. I mean,
Titanic.
could be Titan Nick.
Titanic.
Tight end Nick.
Which means he's like quick or something?
No, it's just Nick. That's
Okay.
known to be tight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Fun guy. Goes down easy. So, all right. So Titanic. I was thinking. I do really think every time of 1912. I do think
Yeah.
of the Titanic.
Yeah, of course.
So I was waiting for something to be said.
And it was.
Okay.
So, this is his story, or what we believe to be his story. Now, he was originally born in 1892 as Alvin Clarence Thomas. Small log cabin on a dirt road in the Ozarks of Arkansas. His father was playing poker at the time of his birth, and when the man got home and heard the news about the arrival of his new baby boy, he went to the sugar bowl, took his wife's last $5 and left. He never returned.
Wow.
Damn.
Fathers.
Dads.
He's like, I lost a bet.
As a kid, Alvin played checkers and dominoes. He pitched pennies. He got to be really good with pitching pennies. It said he could flip a coin so it'd bounce once and then stick flat against the wall.
Nice.
But it was playing cards that hooked him. He would just spend all day in his room dealing hands to himself, bottom dealing, shuffling with one hand. And then he realized he could mark them with his fingernail, and no one would notice, but he would know which card was which. And you don't need to know percentages when you know where all the cards are.
That's right.
That's exactly right.
Now, school was too far away, so he'd spend his days hunting and fishing instead.
Different kind of school.
That's right. He became a crack shot, and it was by the fishing hole that he learned his first big proposition, or he figured out his first big proposition. There was a man fishing there one day, and he really liked the fishing rod this man had. And so he went up to the man, a few days later when he kept seeing him, and he said, "Hey, buddy, my dog's a retriever. I bet I can get him to retrieve any rock I throw in the lake." And the man said, "Okay, well, if you're going to do that, you better draw on the rock so we know which one it is. So Alvin says, okay, and he draws a big X on the rock, and he throws it into the lake, and he has his dog go fetch it. The dog comes out with a rock with an X on it.
Huh.
The man is about to leave without giving Alvin the fishing pole, and Alvin pulls a gun on him and says, no, sir, I believe that's my fishing pole. The man gives it to him, and it never comes back, and what the man didn't know is that the night before, Alvin had spent all night drawing X's on rocks and throwing them in the lake.
Nice.
Still a pretty good dog to go get rocks.
Yeah,
Yeah, very good dog.
Yeah,
Good dog.
That's a good dog.
Who's a good
Solid dog.
Good dogs?
At age 16, he leaves home. He figures there's more to the world than a small town in Arkansas. And his mother makes him promise that he'll never swear. He won't drink or smoke the rest of his life. And he does fulfill that promise, he says.
Wow.
At this point, it's just 1909.
I just chew gum.
Yeah, exactly.
Love this stuff.
At this point in America, it's 1909. The frontier has been deemed closed by the minds of America. You know, it's been, quote, civilized, you know?
Oh, good.
And what happens is as all of these small towns start consolidating, you get the Wild West people, they start coming back in to the towns. And so you get all kinds of gambling and roughhousing.
Here comes trouble.
Exactly. And so this is the world that young Alvin was entering in his late teens and early 20s. He finds himself in Franklin, Missouri, and there's a medicine show, and he sees the host shoot a pie tin to prove how good his medicine is.
Don't know how that checks out.
He throws it in the air and he shoots it in the crowd.
That's good medicine.
Yeah, that's
What is that? Because he's on it?
because he's old.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he was
Okay.
on coke.
So he's like, look, I do crazy shit, and I
Yeah.
take this medicine, so you should buy some.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can be like, not shooting the pies.
Yeah. You never know.
You tell me.
The pie tins will come and
Woo!
attack your family.
Alpha brain. It's nootropics, Daddy.
That's right.
I feel great. It puts me on a higher RPM. You understand?
No one understands RPM back then. I should say, so most of this comes from the true story of a Titanic, Thompson, by Kevin Cook. And I first heard of this from a 1996 article for Golf Digest by Dave Kindred, who's a very good writer.
Did you just pull that out of your archives?
No, I don't know. I don't even remember where I saw that. I just remember printing it out.
It's cool.
Yeah. Yes. Also, the book by Kevin Cook, fantastic. It's exactly the type of book that you enjoy reading about history. Because for all of the different types of games that Titanic would play,
Sure.
he gives you like a 2-paragraph history of them.
Oh, that's cool.
So you learn
cool.
why jacks are called jacks and why it's poker from the French word
Gotcha.
that Americans
Don't tell
call
us.
poker.
Oh, that's cool.
Very good. Oh, the history of dice. The die is cast. I thought that was about color. No, it's dice.
No, yeah. It's
Yes.
yeah.
I didn't know
It's
that.
a single die and it's 2 dice or
Yes.
multiple dice.
Right. But I thought maybe, the color, that spreads through the...
I could see that, but I didn't know it was die.
Thanks,
Right.
book. Okay. So Alvin goes up to this old man, and he says, "Hey, man, I'm a better sharpshooter than you. I should be the one shooting stuff." And he has a shooting contest with the guy, and he wins. And the guy hires him to be the sharpshooter at his shows. Now, this guy was named Adam Bogardus, and he was a world-famous sharpshooter. By now, he's pretty old.
But he's on that medicine. He's on the sauce.
He's on the medicine. There's a cast of characters that I will touch on in Patreons, and he's on the list of those. He once killed 500 pigeons in 528 minutes with a muzzle-loading gun.
500 pigeons in basically 500 minutes?
Yeah, with a gun that he had to tamp down, and
Jesus Christ, would he put napalm in it?
the man likes shooting pigeons.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it is.
520 is a long time to do anything.
Yeah, well, it was like 8 hours. He stood there for like 8 hours shooting pigeons.
Jesus Christ.
And
what
then
a
I don't
psycho.
know. Yeah, pretty much. But there's nothing going on. There's no music back then.
Yeah. Yeah, you would read stuff in the paper and be like, yeah, that makes sense. 500 minutes, yeah, I got that to kill.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
there was pigeons to shoot and I could do it,
I'd be doing it right now.
I'd be there all week.
So he starts being the sharpshooter for the Bogardus medicine show, and Bogardus would preach the tonic, and Alvin would shoot, and at the end of the show, he'd flip a silver dollar in the air, and he'd shoot a hole right through it. But most of the people in the audience didn't know the real trick there was missing.
Yeah.
Because right before you flip it, you pocket it for the one with the hole in it.
Of course.
And then you
Yes.
flip that.
Smart.
And it was around this time that Alvin learned that there are two types of people. This is what he believed, at least. There are two types of people in the world.
Wait. I believe it's pimps and hoes, according to Ice-T.
Well, that's why it depends on who believes it.
You know who does, man. What would you say? Two types of people.
What is he gonna say?
Yeah. Is he gonna say
Marks.
sharps and
Yeah,
Suckers.
sharps and suckers.
Yeah.
Is what I'm guessing.
That's what it said in the opening.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah,
I would have preferred pimps and hoes, but
but he's not Ice-T.
that's true.
Yeah.
Nobody is.
Yeah.
Well, one guy.
Well, I guess
one
the
guy.
Titanic kind of is the Ice-T.
And young Alvin decides he's a sharp. And
You think?
so he wanders around with his Mezen show for a year throughout the Midwest. Just every time he goes somewhere new, he gambles in that town.
I love that this is just the ad campaign. If you're healthy, you can shoot holes in
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Fucking insane.
I mean, it's kind of important back then, you know?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
How many people just passing by in the street need to shoot anything? They don't.
Back then, you do. Half of them were like hunting fucking, rabbits for food and shit.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, this guy, he fucking killed the whole town's food supply of pigeons
Yeah.
in a day.
Well, yeah, I guess they can't all be working on time machines.
No. Only a few of them. So he goes around with this show for a year, and then he leaves that, and he starts gambling on his own in any town he can find gambling, and he finds himself to a barge in Arkansas, where he's gambling with the owner of the barge. It would go up and down the river, but at this point, no one was on. It was just, it was off work that day, and he's gambling with the owner. And after a while, he gambles with the owner so much that now he owns the barge because the owner was so far behind on the money he owed him that he put up the barge
Yeah.
to make the last bet.
Yeah.
And so Alvin now owns a barge.
He's got a Titanic.
Yeah. And he rides it to where this lady he's seeing is standing by the shore.
Check out my barge!
Hey, are you coming over later? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
This is so fucking crazy.
What should I wear? A life preserver.
Anything that's not garbage.
So he has her hop on, and the guy who used to own the thing, he has a friend of his hop on, who's a gambler, and the second gambler, he gets incredibly drunk, and after a while, he's behind $50 to Alvin. They're playing dice, and so he pulls a knife on Alvin, and he pushes him overboard.
Yeah.
Well, Alvin,
Simon and Theodore come out of the shadows.
so Alvin swims back, and he catches up to the barge, and he climbs up, and he takes a hammer and beats this guy unconscious with it. And at some point, while this
There's a very
guy's...
thin line between caves his head in and beats him unconscious.
Well, see, you say that, because at some point while this man was unconscious, he either fell or was pushed into the river, where he died.
Yeah. I think he died with a fucking blow to the skull.
Yeah, maybe.
Probably.
This is how we do things here on the Titanic.
This is life on the large barge.
Think or swim.
There's two types of people. Sinkers.
I hit him with a hammer. It was self-defense. But then he couldn't swim very well, I guess.
That's
I
pretty
got
much
news for
it.
you. You're dead.
And so that's the first man Alvin kills. It wouldn't be the last. He's arrested, but the sheriff says, well, it's probably self-defense. You give me the barge and get out of here, and you're good.
Oh, my God.
Give him the barge.
Yeah. Well, it's a small price to pay for. He didn't even own it when he got there. You know?
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, you win barge, you lose a barge, kill a man.
It's kind of It's kind of an albatross to have a barge, I guess.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, where are you
The
going to go?
maintenance on the thing.
Yeah, it's not like your classic yacht.
No.
The barge.
Yeah, they're only going up and down the river. So he starts going back town to town, gambling. He finds himself in Oil City, Louisiana, where he finds a game. He plays it all night. And he's watching the man across from him.
He's playing poker now?
Yeah.
Okay.
And everybody leaves except this man across the table from him. And he cleans the man out, and the man says, what's your name? And Alvin says, I'm Alvin Thomas, and you're my daddy. And he gave the man his money back. And Alvin would later say that a few days later, when his dad stole his bankroll, that's when he decided he had to leave town.
So he met his dad, and his dad robbed him.
Yeah.
Man, that's a rough couple days.
Well, the first day was probably good.
Jesus, wow.
How do you know he was his dad?
He said he would tell everybody he could just tell, and the guy agreed with him.
Yeah, if somebody's giving you their money, saying you're their dad. Yeah, that's the ticket.
Yeah, kid.
Sure, I'm your dad. Give me your money.
I think I might be his uncle, too. In a way, I'm like a father to all he is. But he's my real son.
Yeah, the winner.
Dude, that's crazy. Do you think he was just nuts, or do you think it was...
I have no clue.
Oh, stay tuned.
It's a good yarn, I guess.
Yeah, small towns.
It's not long after this that this is when Alvin enters the small town in Arkansas and Snow Clark's pool hall and earns his first name. His new last name would be years away, but so for the time he is Titanic Thomas. Though I should say in a 1962 Texas Mexia News article has a slightly different version of that story that I told you. It was for $5 and it was an old man who witnessed it who said, "Tarnation take me if that wasn't Titanic." So, perhaps history can be a little slippery depending on the source.
Interesting.
And perhaps we should keep that in mind. And so he went on, Titanic from town to town. First stop, you stop at the pool hall. If there's no action there, you tip the hotel desk clerk or the motel desk clerk, and they'll tell you where the card games are.
Okay.
And by now, he's always carrying a gun on him. Because there's a lot of easy riders out there, as they call them. Those are the hijack boys.
Okay.
So he hits Memphis. And then once that cooled off, he hit Hot Springs, Arkansas. And it's where the baseball team started their spring training. That's where they got the name.
Really? Mm-hmm. Hot Springs?
Hot Springs.
Huh.
There were good crowds there. Baseball players, old vacationers. Sometimes a circus would stop through.
Hey, all right.
And so he'd be playing games with circus folks. And he said...
Not that
he said there's a Mexican contortionist named El Sfiros.
Oh, what kind of games did you play with him?
Just poker, but while that guy played poker, he tucked his feet behind his ears, hugged his knees, and rolled around the hotel's wide wooden porch like a beach ball. Pretty good time, huh?
Like the tubby kid in Hook.
Yeah, exactly. There's also a bearded lady who would say, "Raise 20."
Nice.
Yeah, pretty cool. And so it was
Good
there.
guys. Good guys.
Yeah, solid.
Good lady.
Good lady. Good beard. And so he would spend most of his times. Hot Springs was a happening place when you were there for those times. Where everybody would show up for the baseball and
Sure.
the old vacationers and the circus. And so he would spend most of his nights gambling and most of his days sitting in his room practicing card throwing, coin flipping.
God, can you imagine?
Just hours and hours.
Sounds like jail.
I guess if you're having fun,
Well, he would.
you're doing like saloon parlor tricks, I guess.
Yeah.
And so in a way, there's some kind of entertainment to it.
Yeah, I mean...
Harry Houdini was doing all that shit in one of these depressing rooms too.
Of course.
You know
of
what
course.
I mean? But but I agree with you. It is like
It's obsessive.
it's that
Yeah.
that scene that scene in the 10. He's like, "Can we talk?" He's like, "Yeah." I was gonna fold this piece of paper for a while, but I guess that can wait. Fold it.
Yeah, and he practiced dice throwing a lot because for him the dice were, a lot of people thought there was chance, and he wanted to see if he could figure out a way to throw them in a way where he knew what was going to happen. And so eventually, he had this thing he called a stiff wrist roll, or where he would throw it somehow where he felt like he had control over him. And he would say, in reference to what you were talking about, he said, if things are hard to do, most folks are too lazy to do it. That puts me one up on them. So that was in his mind while he was spending all this time practicing.
Right.
And so what he'd do after, once people started coming back to the hotel in the late afternoon at night, he would sit in the lobby and he would do things. He'd like throw cards at a hat. And he'd go, he'd make some, he'd miss some, and he'd go, God, man, I'm just can't figure it out. And eventually someone would come over and make fun of him or make a bet, be like, I bet you can't do that. I bet you can't make it from 20 feet or whatever. And so he would say, okay, well, I bet I can make 50 out of 52 in the hat from 10 feet away.
God, it really is like here's the thing. Hang out in the hall doing something dumb. Wait for a person to come by. Get you to fool them into doing the dumb thing that you're doing that they're making fun of you for, and then take their money.
Fleece them,
doing that dumb thing.
Yeah.
And then later on, the next day, they're thinking, why did I get involved with that guy doing that incredibly stupid thing?
Yeah.
Well, it's a real fun time.
But I'd fucking with your ass.
But he's doing it in the lobby, though, and so when someone would challenge him, he'd then go around the lobby and go, any side bets? Any side bets? Any side bets? And so he'd raise the pot.
Wow.
And so what he liked to do is he would make the first 30 cards, and then he'd miss one and go, oh, no. And then he'd miss the next one and go, oh, no.
Shit.
And then he'd make the rest.
Jesus.
Side bets are going up.
Yeah.
Dude, crazy.
And then, after a while, you own their whole vacation bankroll. He said he made an average of 200 of cards in a row when he practiced, and his record was 460.
Jesus.
Wow. That's a lot of time. Another thing he liked to do is he would sit in the porch eating walnuts, and then someone would sit down next to him, and he'd say, I bet I can throw that walnut over that roof, like so many, it's way too far to throw a walnut. And so someone would, they'd go, oh, well, okay. And they would take a walnut out, and they'd throw it, and they go, no fucking way. And then he'd reach in, he'd take a walnut out, and he'd peg it way over that building. Little they know that
it's a rock.
Filled it with buckshot.
Eat it.
Yeah. And there was a man in town there he called Mr. Not Enough. Because every time he did some wager, the guy would go, that's not enough. That's not enough. And so eventually it got to the point where he bet the man that, above the door in some of those hotels for air, there's like a little slot. There's, instead of a window, there's just a hole, kind of, And so he bet the man.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. He bet the man that he could throw 50 out of 52 cards into a hat that's in the hallway just by throwing it through that hole while he's sitting on the bed. So, of course, this guy, Mr. Not Enough, he takes the bet. And Ty throws the cards. He's throwing the cards. And after 52 cards, they open the door. There's 50 in the hat. About 10 minutes later, Ty walks outside, pays this local boy his $10 for putting the cards in the hat.
Oh, my God.
And that was Hubert Cokes, later known as Daddy Warbucks. Or he gave him $100. The first $100 he ever saw, he said. That was,
wow.
Yeah.
Man, look at all the good ideas.
Yeah.
There's some good ideas, some good games being run here. Good games. Imagine what you could do with like a bathroom setup with a hole in that. Get Mr. Not Enough on one side of it. Oh, golly.
Pay some kid $10 on the other side.
Jesus
What?
God damn it.
Yeah. No, you're right. No, you're right.
Stick your dick through that hole. I'll make you come sitting right here.
I'll probably sit over here on this bed.
I'll be sitting right over here and I'll mentally make you orgasm.
He keeps throwing cards at his fucking dick. Ow! Say! That buckshot in it.
Yeah. He then gets married to the daughter of a guy that had been giving him money to gamble for him and kind of like rip off all the other rich guys he knew in another local town. And so he marries her, and she's 15, he's 27. He pays the priest $50 to say she's the loveliest bride he's ever seen. They settle in a house, and then he immediately leaves because he's a gambler, and he goes on the road. She doesn't like it.
What do you think I do? Sit in my room and play with cards all day? I'm a rolling.
I do that on the road.
I'm a Rolling Stone, baby. I guess I'll go see if I can get this nickel sideways for 10 hours on this railway car.
You're 15. You'll be fine.
Yeah. She would be his first wife, not his last. He heads to Kansas City, where he beats the local checkers king, Loch Renfro.
The king of checkers, Daddy.
The checkers king of Kansas City?
Yeah. Loch Renfro.
Yeah.
Loch Renfro.
And it's king
Yeah.
for a reason. You know what I mean? He's king me, Daddy. I'm King Daddy Renfro.
So
The
stupid.
checkers king.
Yeah.
What about the Chinese checkers king?
I can't believe there's ever been a checkers king.
Well, you've never been to Kansas City, friend.
Fuck, man. Wow. Imagine him just flying around that fucking board, playing like 28 games at a time. He does the chess thing where he's just, woo!
Fucking Bobby Fischer of checkers.
Yeah.
Cross-eyed and shit.
Hates the Jews, yeah.
Oh my God.
This eye's looking at that one, and this eye's looking at that one.
So Titanic, he beats Loch Renfro for $10,000,
Oh my God.
about $300,000 today.
Was this an officially sanctioned match, or
No.
this is just betting?
This is just a big money match. Ty, he spent the whole match carefully choosing each move, often picking up pieces, then putting them back down before making his final choice. It was later revealed that a checkers champion was in the ceiling above them,
Telling him.
and they had put a wire down around and up through the floor into Ty's leg to tell him when to, what pieces to move and when to move them, or where to move them. Wow. I mean, $300,000. That's worth some wiring.
Damn.
So then eventually his wife hears about how much he's sleeping around. He sleeps around all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Just all the time. According to one of his later lovers, Titanic was an apt name.
Oh.
Oh.
You like to go down?
Yeah, he went down, went down on girls.
Yeah, I know. It's just, apparently he was large and he enjoyed fucking.
Ugh.
Enjoyed,
You like to fuck a lot of people.
yeah. So eventually, after his divorce, he says, okay, whatever, and he heads off to Pittsburgh. As soon as he gets off the train there, he grabs a lady's wrists. It was in his pocket. He turns and sees a pickpocket. There's a beautiful young woman, and he's smitten with her. Her name is Alice. She's 17. She's wife number 2.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. They get married so he can avoid the draft, but he actually does like her because she can shoot. She teaches him. He teaches her his card cheating ways, and she told him she wouldn't try to change him. That's all he needed to hear.
Say,
But I
Alvin,
will rob you.
let's play this game called Russian Roulette.
No peeking.
The winner gets to be fucking single.
So with his home secured and his new lady in it, he heads back on the road. He would often pay for hotel rooms by gambling with the staff. And one of his big tricks was he could take a hotel key, when there were actual keys in those days, and he would bet people he could throw it into the lock from across the hall.
Yeah, I heard about this one too.
And apparently he was really great at it. And Doyle Brunson said he actually saw him do it.
Doyle Brunson, the great poker player.
Yes.
Yes.
So apparently there is some truth to it. It does sound like an insane feat.
It was definitely, I think, one of those riverboat tricks. A few people tried their hands at. It is, yeah. It's possible it came up even in another profile.
Maybe.
Yeah.
He may be in David Sharp's Amarillo
Maybe,
Slim or something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, that's
Maybe he mentioned Amarillo Slim would be they would work together.
Uh-huh.
One of these trips out west, Ty he's in French Lick, Indiana.
Hey, home of Larry Bird.
That's right. Not yet, but soon. He spots a boxer in the hotel, and he bets the guy that that the boxer couldn't knock him off a newspaper if they were both standing on it. And so the boxer takes the bet, and then Ty makes side bets with all of the entourage. And they go into the dining room, and the entrance of the dining room, and Ty puts the newspaper down, and the boxer stands on one side, and Ty then backs up, closes the door, and stands on the other side of the newspaper.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I'm sure he really loved that bet.
Yeah, the boxer must have reacted very calmly.
Yeah, reasonably.
Yeah. I want your heart. I want to eat your children.
In a ferocious
I'll
fashion.
fuck you till you love me.
I mean, maybe Mike Tyson would have loved that bet. He would have thought he was a clever guy.
Hey, Titanic. I've been reading a lot of newspapers. You ever fuck with cards?
You ever fuck with the crossword puzzle?
You ever fuck with words?
You ever fuck with Wordle?
I've been really getting into Sudoku.
Keeps your mind fresh, Titanic. You know? Gotta be sharp with the numbers.
I've been hitting.
At least you play my game Punch Out.
You could be Glass Joe.
Glass Joe is so good.
Yeah.
Ty does win. Apparently, he wins a couple $1,000s from this. Then he actually does get drafted into the Army in World War I. He's made sergeant immediately when the...
That's the...
What?
If only.
He bets the guy in front of him is going to be just fucking blasted with mustard gas. I bet you this whole trench gets taken out. I'm the sergeant.
Shoots up a flare.
He's doing magic tricks behind him.
Now, apparently one of the higher-ups asked him if he could read the manual, and Ty said yes, and so they said, okay, you're sergeant. Now, Ty couldn't actually read that well. He could barely write.
Yes, he can answer, though.
Yes, he knows how to talk.
Of course I can. You can't? Give me that.
Yeah. Oh, well, you would love this part.
Classic manual.
Yeah.
Says I'm a sergeant.
Says I have an indentured servant around here somewhere? Is that you, old man? Get over here, buddy. We're good friends.
He in their off time he teaches his troop how to play cards and craps and draw poker, craps, 5-card stud. He makes a bit of money off them, but he also teaches them how to rip off all of the other troops and then takes his cut from that.
It's good for morale.
Yeah, big pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
When you're all heading towards a fucking just incinerator,
Yeah.
a fucking human incinerator.
Well, lucky.
Might as well go broke doing it by your comrades.
He goes, we're all going to go for broke now. Means something a little bit different.
Money means nothing where we're going.
Yeah, the only way to get them to go over that trench was to take all their money away.
What do you got to lose?
Now, so they actually the war ends, and before they get sent anywhere, he had been in the Army for 7 months, and he had saved up a purse of $55,000. He drives back to Rogers, Arkansas, where his mother was living now, and he buys her a house with cash, and then he leaves. That's it.
Bye.
Here's your house, Mom.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as visits go,
Yeah.
pretty good
It's
one.
not a barge, but...
Not a barge.
Yeah. He barged in, but
Some large barge sent you.
he stops on his way back to Pittsburgh. He stops in St. Louis for some gambling, and he's in.
Any whoring?
Oh yeah, I mean, well, he never paid. For
Yeah,
sex.
He bet for it.
He was one of those. He was one of those guys that convinced them to pay him.
Well,
Yeah,
so
Like that guy who kicked his head in.
I bet you can't take the whole thing.
so yeah, no, you bring up at this point he's around 30. He's about 6'2", weighs about 150 pounds, has these dark blue eyes.
Yeah, he looks like a country...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
and some people would say that when he looked at women, they would just wilt.
Wow.
Yeah, there's Ben Hogan would say, I think it's Ben Hogan who said
Golfer?
he had the most beautiful hands I'd ever seen. Yes, golfer.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame golfer Ben Hogan.
brother.
Said he had
Most beautiful hands.
yeah. Even in his 70s, people would be like, Jesus Christ, those are some nice hands.
Damn, that's dope.
Yeah.
Like David
Don't look at your hands.
Duchovny.
No, my hands are shit. Sorry.
I didn't want you to feel bad.
No.
Ideally, we should all wear gloves to sleep.
Yes, like a mice and men. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Fill it with Vaseline.
That's from Ocean's 11.
Is
Oh,
that-
is
is-
it?
That's Bernie Mac.
Oh my god, that's so fucking
Rub
funny.
my lotion, pose.
Ideally, we should all wear gloves.
Sounds like an ad lib. That's a good ad lib. Bernie Mac. R.I.P. Bernie Mac. So he's in St. Louis for some gambling. He's in this crumbling joint. And as the game's wrapping up, and he's made his usual
Legends of the
tons of
Hidden
money. Yeah. As the game's wrapping up, one of the guys in the game gets up and flips off a light switch and then says, "Oops," and flips it back on. And Ty goes, "Okay, I know what's going on here. That's a sign." And so Ty goes, he gets up and he starts telling this big loud joke and making a big scene. And as he's doing this, he tiptoes towards the front door and then rips it open. And there's two men kneeling with guns in their hands and handkerchiefs over their face. And he shoots them both dead.
He shoots them?
Whoa! That's pretty cool.
That's some Marty McFly stuff.
Dude, he tells a joke along the way? That's the
Yeah.
fucking dude. That's fucking Jack Nicholson
Punchline.
right there.
Yeah.
Look at these two.
Already on their knees. Bunch of fucking cocksuckers.
They must have heard how big my fucking Titanic hog was.
They had to
or
send
something.
two of you to take it down. You're going to have to lift up those kerchiefs if you want to slob on the knob, boys.
Lucky for you, I got a whole bunch of empty lifeboats.
Yeah.
We're sorry, Mr. Alvin. We'll never. Bang, bang.
I bet you couldn't even handle it in the first place.
Maybe we should get an electrician in here. It seems like
Something's on my foot.
lights out. You guys want to put some more in the kitty? Or you guys wrapped up for the night, getting sleepy or anything like that?
Put some more in the kitty.
Now, Ty he's again arrested for killing these two men, but the sheriff then says, actually, these guys they're wanted criminals. They stole a baby and killed it.
Oh my God! They stole the baby and then killed it.
I don't know what to do with this fucking thing.
I heard they're worth more dead than they are alive, like art.
Like art.
Good idea.
And so he's let off. That now he's up to 3 men killed.
Now he's a fucking hero.
Yeah.
He killed the baby killers.
Yeah. And
God. I mean, can you? Oof, man. Because like that baby had parents, you know.
Yeah.
And they probably were like,
Usually, yeah.
they were probably really speaking up in Titanic's defense. They were like, "Come on, dude."
Titanic set the whole thing up.
yeah.
Then you flip the light switch, right?
And I told this great joke. Plus, I do a great Jack Nicholson impression.
Yeah. This is the end of Ocean's 11.
So this type of thing is happening more and more. Sometimes when he's on the road, he has a bodyguard with him. When he gets back to Pittsburgh, he's leaving a game on the waterfront. Alice picks him up, and 2 guys step out of the shadows and pull guns on him and Alice as they're driving out and shoot up
you said
their
it was
car.
Simon and Theodore jump out of the.
Yeah.
Well, it might have been.
We need to talk. So you're going solo, huh?
Not under my watch. Dad?
And so Alice actually leans out the window and starts firing back at these guys.
Holy
Oh,
shit!
nice.
But he's made a ton of money at this point with his. He buys
Break yourself.
a Pierce Arrow touring car for $6,750.
Pace arrow.
Is it Pace Arrow?
I believe it's a
Okay.
pace arrow.
Okay.
85% sure
Okay,
it's a
no,
pace
I
arrow.
trust you on that. It's
Pierce arrow sounds right.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's an arrow.
Arrow.
It'd be about $100,000 today. And one of the few cars that could like drive fast back then,
Yeah.
so he could get away from the gamblers or the hijackers. And now, so at this point in his life, he basically, if he hears about someone who will take on anybody in a game, he's gonna go there and bet them.
Taking on all comers, Sean.
And so he hears about a man named Frank Johnson in Iowa who's the best horseshoe tosser around.
Not on my watch, Daddy.
And Ty goes, I don't know, how hard is it to throw a fucking horseshoe?
Yeah. Are there horse socks? Is anybody listening to me?
Can we play with grenades? Close enough.
We watched Billy Madison last night. That's what that's from, the old lady.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Why are they called horseshoes? Are there horse socks? Is anybody listening?
Anybody listening to me is really what sounds it. So he goes to Des Moines, where Frank Jackson lives, and Ty gets a hotel room, and there's an alleyway next to the hotel room. So he sets up a horseshoe thing in the alley.
Yeah.
And
Horseshoe pit.
Thank you. And so he's throwing horseshoes, and he's just waiting for people to notice. He wants people to notice him throwing horseshoes. And so a couple of kids walk by, and they're like, "Hey, mister, you any good?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he shows them a bankroll with thousands.
Yeah.
Because back then they had they had not just hundreds, but thousands of $10,000 bills.
Yes.
And so he pulls out a roll of thousands. And he's like, "Absolutely, boys."
Carry this around.
And he's like, "I'll beat anybody." And they're like, "Well, Mr. Frank Jackson."
Who the fuck is that?
Yeah. And he's like, "Well,
Never heard of him.
well, he's like, tell Frank Jackson, come here and he can beat me."
Yeah.
So Frank Jackson.
Tell him to bring me a manservant kind of guy,
Hey,
too.
you boys want to play some baseball?
Yeah. You boys good at standing on the other side of walls?
You guys eat anything they throw to you?
I say you're about glory hole height.
Yeah. Say, you look like you'd be good with, say, like dumping cards in a hat. Yeah.
Yeah,
You like popsicles?
I got a whole freezer full of my basement.
You like movies about
And they're
gladiators?
warm. So Jackson shows up to the horseshoe pit, and Ty just wipes the floor with him. Jackson can't believe it. All of his throws are a foot short.
No.
He never walked the course.
Oh my god.
Titanic had spent the whole time on a course 1 foot longer than the normal horseshoe course. And Jackson is... I mean, you can be
Not a good improviser. Like,
You can be good at horseshoes and fucking dumb, I guess.
yeah.
I guess.
Throw harder.
yeah.
Adjust. Improvise. Adapt. Overcome.
Yeah. Look where the one horseshoe is.
Try to be like it.
Aim for the other one to go ahead of it. Yes. Have the one go further than that one went.
If you go further than the stick, throw softer.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Ty beats him for $1,000, about $15,000 today.
Jesus hell.
And so
Those kids must have had a hell of a night.
I think he probably gave those kids each like $10 or some shit, which is, I mean, back then that's a month's worth of steak.
And you kids have a baby brother I can steal?
It's a lot of Bazooka Joe.
Yeah.
Comic.
Oh, Bazooka Joe. So then on his way around the country, Ty is driving through Oklahoma. He stops at a lemonade stand, and he sees the guy who owns it. He's hitting golf balls. He's never seen this before.
The fuck is this?
And
Pitch and wedge? What the fuck?
and so Ty asks him, what the hell's going on here? And the guy says, well, it's a driving range. He meant golf balls.
This is how Happy Gilmore starts.
Basically, yeah.
That's right.
And so Ty's a lefty, and luckily the guy has one lefty club, a driver, and Ty says his first swing he hits the ball 300 yards.
Oh, God.
And so the next night it was like a few nights later, he's gambling with some guys, and there are some of them have played golf, and he's like, anybody can play golf. It's the easiest game in the goddamn world. And he bets him that he can drive the ball 300 yards. And they're like, all right, we'll take you up on that. And they go to the driving range.
And he starts driving them crazy, Daddy.
He goes to the driving range the next morning, and
He starts fucking with the soil or some shit?
no.
Moves all
So
the fucking markers back.
Starts nerfing out the whole thing?
see, you guys are on the right idea. He hits a drive. He says he absolutely just fucking kills it, and it's gonna hit and roll 300 yards, except there's a lot of dew on the ground, and the ball hits and sticks and doesn't roll very far, and he loses money, and then he realizes you can't ever let
The weather.
you have to be in control of all of the circumstances.
Yeah, all of the elements.
He's only been in fucking rooms until now.
Yeah.
He's only been inside a fucking like a 4x6.
Fellas, I've been to this place. It's called a golf course. It's grass as far as the eye can see.
Yeah.
Not a wall anywhere.
Yeah, I can't find a light switch nowhere.
There's no holes and no doors.
There's no kids behind the
There's
hole.
holes in the ground.
Yeah, it's weird.
Crazy.
And so he goes, okay, well, I figured out card throwing. I got to figure out this golf thing. So now when he goes to the hotel rooms, and he could only find a right-handed set of clubs, so he's playing right-handed. So
room service, can you please send up a golf course?
Yeah.
What he's doing is he spends all day now chipping golf balls into a tumbler.
Yes.
And then he would do that in the lobby. And what he found is
They
that
let him do this?
he was there was nothing going on back then. There's no television.
He's probably fucking half the staff.
That's probably
You
Out
know?
of what?
And he's a dandy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's fun to have around because you know you can fucking
Yeah, having
Make your paycheck disappear.
A mysterious and charismatic stranger in the lobby is good for business.
yeah.
I think so.
Well, it is because like people are taking these bets, and he finds that if you put an inch of water in the tumbler, the ball doesn't bounce out. The little tricks go a long way. And so now he's doing his card throwing, but with golf balls. And he's playing right-handed, and he gets really good at it.
Wow.
Even though he's left-handed?
Yeah.
Smart. It's like Inigo Montoya.
And in St. Louis, Missouri, he's in a 5-card stud game, and he this time it gets just busted in by a bunch of thieves.
Wow.
And he has a bodyguard with him. They turn the table over, shoot back. Bodyguard kills one guy. He kills the other guy. The cops pat him on the back, and they send him out of town again. Now he's killed 4 men.
These guys kill 4 babies.
Exactly.
No explanation, neither.
No.
They're just crazy. Anyway, we're glad you fellas are coming through gambling and carrying on with our women.
Plus doing our job for us.
Yeah.
And you said you have no kids, right?
Yeah, anyway.
Do you want a boat or?
Yeah, we're going to give you a key to the city, and here's an indentured man servant. Now you can take that with you. Go on, Stan. Go
With or
on.
without teeth? Without? Okay.
So now, by 1921, he's run through all the small towns he could, and
Run through? Jesus Christ.
he decides he needs to take his game to a bigger level. And it's time to hit Chicago, and it's in Chicago that he meets Nick the Greek, notorious, infamous gambler Nick the Greek, man who over his lifetime is said to have won and lost $500 million.
Sounds tall.
Well, he was from money, so he actually never really cared if he lost money, which was a big part of his thing.
That's fun.
Yeah.
It's a good kind of gambler.
Yeah. Now, Doyle Brunson says the story. There's a few different stories, but the one Doyle Brunson says is that Ty spots Greek at the train station, and he says, I hear you got a lot of gamble in you. And the Greek throws down $15,000 and says, I'll flip you for it. And he gives Ty a coin to flip, and Ty flips it, and the Greek calls heads. And Ty catches the coin in midair and goes, this is a 2-sided coin, you bastard. And he said, you are a gambler. And they became fast friends.
And I'm keeping this.
And so they started working together. And they started tipping each other, a blink here. They say a word. Say, I got a pretty good, or I could use a pretty good card. Or, so the other person knows to raise or whether you got the nuts or what. And they're stealing pots all over town. And then the Greek introduces him to all the mob guys in Chicago.
Uh-oh.
These are good guys.
Good guys.
Made guys.
He's a good fella.
And because Al Capone loved golf, all the mob guys did too.
Sure. Hey, I'll see you on the green, Al.
Yeah, we're trying to up your clubs for you, Al.
Beat somebody to death.
Yeah, I wiped off all the brain and bits of skull and everything right off your driver.
Yeah, you got to scoop that shit up.
Yeah. I packed it into the 18th green. It's good fertilizer. Filled out that dead spot with that dead guy, yeah.
And so Ty wins a lot of money from these mobsters, and he tells them he says I could drive about 500 yards, and they say prove it, pal. And
Go ahead.
He says nah, that's not feeling it today.
I'm shy.
I'm not feeling it. I'm sure.
I'm shy, Mr. Capone.
I'm a modest guy.
You have to chase me around a little, sir.
And then the Greek also introduces him to Harry Houdini.
Oh.
Nice. Friend of the show.
And yes, and Ty asks him one question. He says, "What's the key to your tricks?" And Houdini says, "Practice." And Ty says, yeah, I get
You right.
I get that. I can relate to you, small.
What's the
Ripped
key to your
man.
tricks? I have a key. It's
Key?
right here.
Yeah.
Physical.
It's my butt.
Key.
Under my tongue. In
If
my
I ever
hair.
lose this, I'm in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And
So the same key, buddy.
Ty takes in one of Houdini's shows and he says, I like the fellow, but he's no miracle man. It's all preparation, good setups. And it's slightly an ironic thing to say because, I don't know, maybe it's something about the adoration of the crowd or what. But it seems like
Well, it's like
that's what you do.
Yeah, it's kind of like, like people who've been like comedians who've been doing comedy for long. It's hard to watch comedy and just let go and enjoy it.
Yeah, sure. Because
you're
he saw all of the slights.
Yeah, you see all the slight, but you can appreciate the craft, but you
Yes.
don't lose yourself
Sure.
in the prestige.
Yes.
Right. Yes.
But you can appreciate it, but you're not like entertained.
Yes.
And but the most important thing that happens in Chicago is that the Greek introduces him to Capone. And it wouldn't be the last famous mobster that Ty would be friendly with. And I think let's take a little break and we'll come back with some more Al Capone.
This is very exciting.
Oh my God.
We'll be right back, folks. We love you. And we're back.
Oh, there he is.
Dude,
Yeah?
went to the bathroom during the break.
Oh, yeah?
Look, fuck, it was a muggy in there, dude.
Muggy?
It's
I
muggy.
told you, yeah. 'Cause
Yeah.
you-
I looked down at my dick. I was like, Swamp Thing!
Yay! Dude, what's the over or under on all the flushes?
Under or over?
Under over on the
Yeah,
flushes?
Yeah. It's a betting thing. Never mind. It was a big gambling joke.
Oh. It was yellow, so I let it mellow.
Christ's sake, that's not John. It's gonna increase humidity. That's piss. No, it's piss humidity.
Yeah, now it's that good swamp piss.
Oh, when you do it
Yeah.
from Florida.
Now listen, we got this guy Alvin here, Titanic. And tell me his last name again.
Thomas, at this point.
Thomas.
Right now,
It
it's
will later be Thompson.
yes.
Aha.
We're not there yet.
But so he's a talented fingersmith.
He can flick the bean,
Flick the bean.
press the pearl.
Yes. Yeah. He can go around it.
Oh,
Whatever.
On his nose.
Yeah. Yeah. But he's a sharp.
He's a sharp.
He's a sharp, but now he's hanging out with some sharp fellas like this Nick the Greek.
Yeah, and Al Cap one.
Alphonse Cap 1.
yeah.
Alphonse Cap 1. Alphonse Capone, notorious Scarface gangster.
Right.
Taxi Vader.
And he's
Yeah.
and he's
One of the
meeting
worst
he's
crimes.
meeting him of what era of Capone? Is it 20s Capone?
This is 20s. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, so
that's like the money's really
yeah,
flying.
Prohibition.
So yeah, this is before. It's 21 when
Oh,
he gets
right
to
before.
Chicago. So this is probably prime. Well, not prime Capone, but Capone pretty much owns the city at this
Yeah.
point. When
he was really right under Torrio, but
Yeah.
Torrio like basically, was one of those old mob bosses where you just sat in a room.
yeah, he was fine with
not flicking cards or anything cool,
just
but
sitting there.
But
Yeah.
he just sat in a room and
He was fine with not doing like he didn't need. He just wanted the money.
Yeah.
He was the stringer bell.
Yeah, and-
Capone is the Avon Barks.
Yeah, so in their relationship too, eventually it was a thing where like I think he like almost got clipped, and then he was like maybe Capone is trying to edge me out, but yeah, he I think he got out pretty
me in.
unscathed for a
Yeah.
mob boss.
Yeah.
So good for him.
Pretty good.
He
Yeah.
knew when the getting was good, and probably it was at a time too where the money was like at its highest. So
Until, I think Prohibition was probably at its highest.
yeah, but I think he left during that time.
Right.
yeah.
At this point, I think he's still very much Torrio's main guy.
Got it.
Yeah, but Capone is basically, he's the face, basically.
Yes.
And, Capone's the guy, when he goes to Cubs games, the players ask for his autograph.
Yeah.
He sits in the first row. People give him a standing ovation, or an ovation when he turns to the fans. He's the Queen Elizabeth of the fucking
Crazy.
Yeah. And so everywhere he goes, the people he knows, they get whatever they want.
Yeah.
That's how Capone is.
Yeah.
So you're fine if you're with Capone.
Yes. You don't want to call him Alphonse Cap 1, huh?
Okay. Maybe
Oh,
you do.
yeah, might catch on.
And Nick the Greek, not a good gambler.
No.
Just a guy who didn't mind losing, which makes him great
Yeah.
to be with.
Yeah.
But he liked winning, of course, but he didn't care if he lost. And that's really what kind of separates him and Titanic.
For sure.
And it'll become more clear, if it hasn't already, that Titanic, it's the action's the juice.
Yes. Yes. This Nick the Greek guy is going, he's like, this guy's a loser, you know?
This guy's a loser.
So Nick the Greek introduced him Capone. Remember, Ty said, all the golf. He said he could drive 500 yards, and so Titanic. He's spending time with Capone. He doesn't like Capone that much. He doesn't like the swearing. He tells Nick that they should steer clear of Capone, but the Greek says, look, that guy's got the money, and if we're gonna play money games, that's the guy that we have to be with,
right,
because he won't let us play money games,
right,
if we're not with him.
Right.
And so once they get in with Capone through the Greek, Capone starts giving them money to go throughout the Midwest and just
fleece
gamble
people.
with people.
Yes.
And so he pays them to fleece every rich person they can find in the Midwest.
Going on tour fleecing people.
Yeah.
It's the best.
You thought comedy was cool.
Yeah.
And we didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, there's comedy in fleecing people.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
funny.
That is.
Oh, yeah, and you're fucking the sergeant's wife or whatever.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Oh. So with Capone's backing, they start playing all the richest gamblers in the Midwest. And from this, Titanic makes $100,000, which is about $1.7 million today.
Good Lord.
Just being the guy to, like, he knows his numbers now. He's not as well as he will, but he's a good card player even when he's not cheating.
Right.
And he's a good dice player. And he's good at all these other proposition bets. And when you play these games, you can make bets every time you go, hey, I bet the next card will be this. Right? You can make all these side bets during the games, which aren't part of the backing. So you get to make your own bets.
Yes. It's part of the game.
And so he through these games from Capone's backing, he makes $100,000, and he also wins a restaurant in Milwaukee.
Hey,
Jesus.
was it called the Barge?
It should have been. I'm guessing he did what he would do every time he won one of these things. He would just sell it back to the guy he won from.
Yeah.
But you just get to a point where the guy, you've taken everything the guy owns.
Yeah.
He's like, I have a restaurant. Maybe I can win everything back with the restaurant.
I got a burger shack, sir. She's prime beef, baby.
Hell of a name for your daughter.
Oh my God.
Restaurant.
Burger Shack.
And Titanic, for as much as he said he didn't like Capone, he also he becomes like kind of close with him, and Capone. He gambles with Capone at the table and in the room. There's this story that he tells about how one time they're gambling with this notorious drunk, and the guy fell asleep at the table. So Ty motioned to Capone to turn the lights off. And then the lights go off, and they wake this guy up and tell him it's his turn to bet. And the guy wakes up and he goes, "Oh my God, I'm blind!"
Oh my God.
That's a good time.
It is a good time.
That's a good time. Capone must have loved that.
Capone did love that.
It's like how novel indoor electric lighting is that when it's dark, you think you're blind.
Exactly.
Capone was like that. That's way funnier than killing a man.
Kill a spirit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or close to it.
Plus, let's kill him.
So, and a lot of these games, they go for a long time. And so, this game goes through the night, and the next morning, Ty,
Excuse me.
it's okay. Just, off mic.
I'm sorry.
It's hard to take out.
Fucking asshole.
Not the time.
And so the next morning, after this big gambling around with this guy and the joke and all that, Capone and Ty, they walk out of the gambling den or wherever they were in gambling, and they go to get in Capone's car, and Ty turns to him and he goes, "Hey, I bet I can throw a lemon over that building over there." And Capone goes, "Oh, really?" And so Capone...
Is that a fact?
Yeah.
Capone goes, "All right." And Capone buys it. They go to this fruit cellar.
I'll buy the lemon.
And Capone buys his own lemon.
Biggest fucking lemon he can find.
Little did he know, 3 days before, he replaced every single lemon with a shot put.
Yeah.
Painted yellow. So
Replace it all with helium.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's the thing is like, because of the story you've heard, you already
Yeah.
And so what happens is Capone Ty buys a lemon and he says, I bet I can do this. Capone goes, "Oh, sure, okay, And then Capone buys a lemon, and then he squeezes all the juice out of it, so it's dry basically, and hands it and says, throw that one. And so Ty then throws a lemon on top of that building. Mm-hmm. And what Capone didn't see is that Ty had, in his windup, sleight of hand, switched the squeezed lemon for his good lemon, full of
juice,
full of buckshot that he had conspired with the lemon seller the night before.
Oh my God!
You can't get one over on this guy. You
No.
got the sleight of hand and the planning.
We're gonna be coming back from a place, and on the way,
Yeah.
I'm gonna point at his stand and go like, you know what?
I'm gonna try and fuck with this notorious gangster murderer.
Yeah. And
For fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, for $500.
Well, I guess that's worth it, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, it's worth a bullet in the fucking head.
It's like, like in comic books.
Would
they
you
always
think
talk about-
Capone would grab the lemon guy and be like, you know this fucking guy? Do you know him? He's a boat. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
It's like in comic books when they always talk about like Batman with prep time versus whoever.
Yeah.
It's like this guy is the Batman of these tricks where he's like
The Batman of dumb shit.
Yeah, the dumb
Yeah.
pranks.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean,
I've been prepping this for 3 weeks.
and how many times did it just never come up and the fruit seller's like selling fucking buckshot lemon to some stranger?
Oh, fucking sucks.
It's better than a lemon.
That guy never showed up to buy his fake lemon. It's free, I guess.
Guess my kids have to eat buckshot lemon meringue.
It was the deflate gate of its day.
Yeah, it was. So, but after conning Capone, Ty goes, it's probably time for me to get out of Chicago, I guess, Because, you're not going to get much better than that.
No, and Capone's not going to like losing.
No, of course
I don't
not.
care. It doesn't matter how much you're making him.
And so this is near the end of 1923. So the winter of the beginning of 1924, Ty's like, I got to get out of Chicago. And he's
Cold.
Yeah, and so he
Windy City.
He calls up the gamblers about the $500 drive, and he goes, "Guys, I think I'm feeling it. I can do that 500-yard drive." And so he takes them out to there's a golf course right off of Lake Michigan, and he takes them out, and he stands at the tee box with all these mobsters around him, and he looks down the fairway, and then he turns around and drives the ball onto Lake Michigan, where it's frozen and the ball bounces 500 yards, and they pay him off, and he gets out of town.
No way.
Yeah.
I love that, these guys go, well, a bet's a bet.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is they go, a bet's a bet, because for them the money isn't actually that big of a deal.
Right.
It's the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also the chutzpah.
Yeah, chutzpah. Yeah.
Is like really the thing of being like, yeah, this fucking dummy saying you can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
He knows I'll kill him.
Shit!
Oh God, he did get me. That is
Pretty
funny.
good.
That
Pretty
is funny.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Pretty good.
I don't know why we're making him sound like that.
That's a monster.
I'm sure it didn't sound like that.
They all sound like Bobby Cannavale.
Jesus Christ, that was pretty fucking good.
Yeah, I mean, it's Chicago. I'm surprised you guys haven't.
Well, he's from Brooklyn.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So he
But the
sounds
other
like that.
fucking mobbed up guys.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking
Yeah,
Christ.
my
Get
God,
that
look at
fucking
this
boat
fucking-
halfway to Lake
God.
Superior.
Jesus Christ. The lake's frozen over. It's crazy. Jeez.
We can't dump him in the fucking lake. It's frozen over.
Oh, give me one of those hot dogs with all kinds of shit on it.
I think this guy put Pee Wee's breakfast together. Knows all the angles.
I pity the fool.
For that 500 of the drive, Ty says he made about $50,000, which is about $900,000 today, just from various bets with all of the different mobsters. And so him and the Greek, they head off to San Francisco. The Greek says there's a lot of good golf out there. And so Ty starts golfing every day, and golf becomes his number one gambling game. Because the great thing about golf is, like, with cards, you can make those side bets, but with golf, everything can be a bet. Every single, every shot, where it lands, how far it lands.
Every hole, how many strokes,
Exactly.
etc.
And then each shot itself can become a gamble.
Right.
And so you have all of these different gambles, and so he buys a set of left-handed golf clubs to go with his right-handed set. He's a natural lefty, but he's been playing right-handed.
Why?
And
He's gonna come out there like the fucking lawnmower man and start double fisting these fucking things.
you have to You won't make as much money fisting people, but
He's not going to mow the lawn.
Well, he is going to San Francisco.
that's true, yeah. And so he starts going to the golf courses, but what he does is when he goes to the courses, he practices out of sight of the course. He'll practice like not at the driving range, but near the
Inside his
driving
hotel
range.
room.
Yeah. And he'll
barge.
wear the barge. He'll wear long sleeves and like a hat so he doesn't get tan, because he doesn't want these guys
To think he's
The thing
gonna.
is, oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
So
and
he's
it's
out,
also just good skin care regimen.
yeah. He's,
Yes, that's
he's,
true. That's these guys cared about all of their cigarettes.
So he's out there like fucking Dr. Moreau.
That's good.
This fucking what was that powder like beast?
Beast powder. Yeah. And so what he'd do is he would play card games, and while he's playing the card games, he'd find someone who was a golfer, and he'd be like, golf's, anybody can do it, it's no big deal. Or especially he'd love to find like a golf pro. Now, like back then, the world of golf, there was no money in professional golf. But every golf course had like a local pro, like any sort of pool hall would.
Right.
And so each golf course would have their guy who was the one guy who was really good at it, and he'd teach people how to play.
You would imagine in that era of San Francisco, that guy would be repeatedly robbed and beaten.
Shanghaied on a barge.
No, but, there's a level of authority in being that guy at the golf course in San Francisco.
And I'm sure it's even then. Would you say the import of the sport of golf, was it prestigious from the get go? Would you?
Well, I have no idea.
I wonder.
I mean, it was invented by shepherds, right?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't prestigious, and like again,
But it was expensive. Was it still a richer man's game?
A lot of land involved.
that, but the clubs themselves, everything was really rudimentary. And Cook in the book does a really great job again with just another. He gives like a very brief history of just the usage of clubs and for Titanic when he played, backspin was called English, the 9-iron was called a niblick, and because they didn't have 9-irons, they had just clubs of various loft.
Right.
They didn't have like the specific system like we do now, and so. There was a lot of, DIY kind of people who played were not necessarily good golfers, but they were good at hitting a ball here and there. Right. So it was a very different type of game because professionals were not paid as well as gamblers.
Yes.
Because gamblers could set their own stakes.
Right.
Professionals made nothing.
Right.
There were no professional golfers.
Right. Yeah.
And so a lot of the first professional golfers were guys who hustled.
Yeah.
And then we're like, hey, I can make like $500 at a tournament.
Yeah. It's like all those female bodybuilders. Like the trophy is worth like 10 grand.
Yeah.
The OnlyFans is where the money's at.
Yeah. Decide bets.
Yes.
With the the head of fucking Roto-Rooter or whatever. They make a lot. They make a lot in dates. Like they wrestle guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's
And,
the thing. It doesn't even
and videos.
doesn't even have to be sex. They just be like wrestling a rich guy. They're like,
Yeah.
I just want a woman to beat
Sure,
my fucking
I mean,
ass.
even porn stars now, like they make more money from a video where they spray themselves with mustard for some rich guy than they do from an actual porn.
Yeah, old man Goulden.
Yeah.
Yeah, the French's.
French Stewart.
Yeah, porn is the ad
Yeah.
for the real service.
Right.
I mean, but
Yes.
that's not all of it, but it's a open.
Okay, but
Yes.
that's a good thing to know. So it wasn't country club stuff.
Right. I mean, there were country clubs, of course,
Right,
and
right,
like being part of them meant you had access to certain people and things.
Right.
But yeah.
But you still got, some of those riverboat daddies coming through there.
Yeah.
I understand you have a fine club here.
And so Ty's thing, so he'd meet these guys at card games, and he'd disparage the game at golf and say anybody could do it. And so they would challenge him to a match, and he would play right-handed, and he would beat them. And he would always beat them. And they would say, you don't know what you're doing. I'll give you a stroke a hole. And I know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
That's a good candy cap.
Yes, thank you, Aaron. I know what John's thinking.
What?
They jack him off on each hole. Come on.
Oh.
But
One stroke.
But for him, he's as good at this point as the pros at the golf course, or who's the teacher at the golf course or whatever.
For sure.
And so what he would do is he would always only beat them by one stroke. That was his thing. Because what would happen is after he beat them by one stroke, he'd go,
lucky game.
So I'm just so lucky. I don't know. He'd go, you know what? Double or nothing. I'll play you left-handed.
Well, after he beat them by one stroke, the guy had to eat the biscuit. So,
Yeah.
Cookie.
double or nothing left-handed.
Yeah.
Or then he's fucking thrashing them.
Yeah, but then again, he'd still only beat them by one stroke.
Oh my god.
Because he didn't ever want to, like, the thing is, if you destroy a guy...
Then they know,
it's
then
a
they-
thing.
yes.
Yeah. So you want to keep him coming back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I think I can get him.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to string... The game is stringing.
I got a restaurant I could waitress.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not a lot of barges, but...
Yeah.
And so he figures out his grift, his thing in San Francisco, and I found an article from 1926, the San Francisco Examiner, called Titanic Thomas, and the headline is "Marsh loses $2,000 game" or something like that. And it's a whole article in the paper about how this guy who everybody agreed was a way better golfer got beaten by this guy Titanic Thomas. And they're like, Titanic Thomas had a little bit of luck, and it seemed like he's legit.
Well, no, he just had a big dick.
Yeah, that's 2 clubs right there.
I mean, that's more than a bit of luck.
Yeah,
He spends a lot of time in his room, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, we're working his nib gibbler.
it's a nib lick.
Nib lick.
Nib Keebler.
Whatever, man.
Yeah, you're close. And this article, because of the way news worked of the day, was reprinted in Hawaii and like multiple other states.
Oh, yeah.
It was
No,
like-
guy sucks bad that shouldn't to other loser we've never heard of. Yeah, no, that's a good article.
Well, his name is
I would
Titanic
resell that all
Thomas.
over the
Slow
place.
news day.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Pittsburgh, you got anything going on? We got a sad story for you.
And so
Yeah? No, that's it.
Ty heads down to Los Angeles, 'cause that's where the big money golf is. That's where all the movie stars
Los
are.
Angeles?
Yeah,
Wait, what part?
Los Angeles.
Oh,
Because that's where the
County.
That's where the big money is starting to accumulate in the 20s.
yes.
The movies, and he gets down there and he hears Howard Hughes is a big golfer and supposedly good, and so Ty goes, I gotta fucking rip Hughes off.
Yeah,
that's the guy, and so he starts trying to work his way up, and so he plays guys who are in foursomes adjacent to Hughes. He starts trying to like get near Hughes, so someone in Hughes's camp will be like, "Hey, I think Howard Hughes could use a partner for money."
Yeah.
And so he starts working his way up. One guy he beats so badly that the guy offers to sell him a house real cheap because he can't pay him back.
Oh, God.
And so Ty buys a house in Beverly Hills, and Alice moves from Pittsburgh out there.
Jesus Christ.
And with their house and bankroll, he buys into the Hollywood Country Club. And for the next 3 or 4 years, he's just trying to work his way up to Hughes. He's just trying. He's beating these guys left and right, all these Hollywood stooges, just playing his game.
I once played a man Titanic. Made me lick his nib or something or other. I don't know. It was fun. It's the 20s.
Damnedest thing, he had an indentured servant. You know what that is, Logjam? It's a man on all fours.
Slide in, no lube.
He's got a tea tray on his back, Logjam.
He butt fucks this dude.
Yeah. Loves it, of course.
Zipper mask, hole 9.
Well, 18 sometimes.
Thank you. Yes. If you're new to the show, that's Orson Welles.
What's that you say?
So he still can't find his way to Hughes, and he doesn't get invited to the cool Hollywood parties despite his bankroll. And in 1928, he hears that the Greek, who's now in New York City, is getting his financial shit kicked in by Rothstein and the other folks. The Greeks losing big to them.
Oh, wow.
And so the Greeks,
Rothstein, huge gambler.
huge gambler.
Yes.
And so Ty goes, okay.
Mob guy.
Yes, he was credited by Lucky Luciano with saying, Rothstein taught me how to dress.
Oh.
So he was very much high society, the classic kind of like Jewish gangster in the sense that like he wasn't going out there for all of that street glory.
Right.
He was very much staying, a dandy lad and looking real nice and being very smart and but keeping a lot of money on the street.
Right.
Yeah.
So Ty here, he figures, okay, there's a ton of money to be made out there. So I'll go help the Greek, and I'll make tons of money in the process. Because he's not floundering in L.A., but like he's almost being domesticated. He's got a house, and his wife is there all the time. And
Oh my God!
And then
how did that happen?
he loves Alice, but like he's a road guy,
Yeah.
and he's not finding. The more people you beat in L.A., the smaller the town gets.
Right.
And so he goes, okay, I haven't spent much time in New York. I got to go there. So he goes there. On one of his first days there, he walks into where Rothstein eats. Rothstein has a restaurant where he's just always there's a table just always for him. Damon Runyon, the writer, was always by his side. The man, become a famous writer, smoked cigarettes just like literally every cigarette he finished, he would light the next one with. Just nonstop.
Good God.
Died of throat cancer, if you believe it.
How?
Probably didn't smoke Lucky Strike.
Should be vaping.
Yeah. So Ty walks in and he puts on this like Southern charm shtick where he's using his accent. He says howdy. He says crawdad. He uses euphemisms for
Howdy there, Jew boy.
and he introduces himself to Rothstein. He puts out his hand. Rothstein doesn't shake hands. He's a very German.
Yes.
This guy.
Tyrell.
And Rothstein seems to either know him from the Greek or just know of him. And I should mention that the Greek lost so much money to honor Rothstein and all of the gangsters in New York that it became a joke on vaudeville. And the vaudeville joke was...
I'm sorry. Who lost what?
The Greek. The
Greek lost so much money
that it became a joke.
Yeah, sorry, I wrote this down.
To Rothstein and those guys.
Yeah, that the joke in the vaudeville circuit was, it's the first time the Jews knew Santa Claus was Greek.
Wow.
But if you lose so much money that becomes like public knowledge in that way, I mean, are you doing something right or wrong? I'm not sure.
It seems wrong. Wrong would seem right.
Yeah. But so Rothstein, he finds in Titanic, and Titanic finds in him and Runyon, just pure gamble on anything, guys. And they're all of that same mindset where, like, anytime they couldn't go 10 minutes without finding something to gamble on.
Oh my God. Can you imagine the mania?
Jesus.
And so it'd be things like, they would see cars driving down the street and they'd go, hey, the license plates are kind of like poker hands.
Yes.
I bet the next one will beat the other one, beat the last one.
Yeah.
I bet the last one. And so they're doing one of these bets, and Ty goes, hey, I bet this next one will beat that last one. And it's a pair of twos, and the next one comes by with a pair of nines. And little do they know that Ty had paid a guy to sit in a fucking car around the corner just to wait for his signal to drive by.
Dude, what the fuck?
Cutting off other people and shit.
Yeah, exactly, just to get there.
He beat the traffic.
Go, Daddy.
He stopped traffic around the whole island.
Blues patrol booths.
Oh my God.
Oh. One thing, when Ty gets in New York, one thing he does is he pays a professor of math from Columbia University to teach him the odds of poker. And he learns about not just the odds of poker, but this is a thing that wasn't really done back then.
Right.
There was a big idea of luck.
Right.
But the idea of actually knowing all of the odds,
Right.
the pair, how often a pair comes up in 100 deals.
Right.
Right, these are all big things to know because they weren't playing Hold'em like everybody does now. It'd be 5 card stud. It'd be very
Or
different
draw,
games.
right.
Draw, yeah. And so he pays this guy to teach him all of these different types of odds. And one of them that the guy teaches him is one he would use in one of these prop bets as they are walking around the city. And because Ty bets, he bets Rothstein that they could stop 30 people and 2 of them would have the same birthday. And Rothstein goes, well, that's 365 to 30 odds.
Yeah.
Like that's great odds for me. I'll take that. But little did Rothstein know,
He's got a guy that will say anything.
no, that Ty, from the odds Ty had learned from this professor, if you meet 30 people, odds are you will find 2 of them who have the same birthday. It's statistically better than 1 out of 365 or whatever.
Crazy.
And so he's just using these numbers to go, how do I do stupid?
Wow. It's weird.
Yeah.
God, people just doing dumb shit all over the place. Just doing dumb shit. Like, these are rich men.
Yes.
Very wealthy men. Like, hey, say you, Mr. February 4th?
But that's what makes them do even dumber stuff. Ty made a bet with them. He said, I bet I can throw my loafer on the top of the 57th story of the Woolworth building. And they said, well, take that bet.
And he climbs up to the Empire State Building.
No, and
Throws
so
it down from there.
he walked into the building and took the elevator to the top and then threw it onto the roof.
Yeah.
And they all went, chutzpah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Too much money to actually care whether they win or lose.
Right, but to him,
But to him,
all
that's
adds
it.
up.
That's right.
Bet I can throw my shoe. God damn it.
I bet I can take that.
Again, fucking with people with guns, like armed men.
Right. Yeah, so what is it? Let me see. The odds for...
God, imagine you a big old schlong. Well, you can't.
I can imagine.
Okay.
In fact, I do. Often.
You call it Titanic, Thompson?
So among a group
It's a
of
submarine.
among a group of 23 people, there's a 50% chance that 2 have the same birthday.
Among 23 people?
Yeah. In a room that holds 57 people, the odds that 2 of them have the same birthday is 99%.
I'm sorry, say it again.
If you are in a room with 57 people, there's a 99% chance 2 of them have the same birthday.
So 30 is a pretty solid bet, too.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Fuck. Should do that more often.
You should do that.
Erase that from the record. I'm going to start doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They start doing dumb shit all the time.
But also what he finds is that...
You're going to be like, all right, Chipotle, listen up. It's everybody's birthday in here. Nobody gets hurt.
So what he finds, though, in New York, unlike L.A., is that because of Rothstein, him and Alice shows up in New York with him, they can get in anywhere. Because Rothstein's such a big guy.
Oh, yeah.
Even the Carnegie Deli.
Like in L.A., they couldn't get into Charlie Chaplin's parties, but in New York, they can get into any party they wanted because Rothstein.
Yeah.
And so they're living it up. They're having a great time. But in 1928, Rothstein starts doing poorly financially. In one day at the track, he lost $120,000.
God almighty. In that time's money.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking hell.
And so creditors start sniffing around. Oh, did I tell you that Ty drove there with $900,000?
To the track?
No, to New York.
Oh, no. Good idea.
Yeah, he drove there with $900,000, which is about $17 million today.
Just cash.
Just in a satchel.
Jesus.
Well, when you have those $1,000 bills.
Yeah,
it fits
exactly.
in a
It's
fucking
really good.
Manila.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
But Rothstein himself was doing, in 28, he was doing poorly financially. And one thing he would do is when he won money, he would take it immediately. But when he lost money, he would give out a lot of IOUs.
Smart.
Yeah.
Those are as good as cash.
Yeah. Sometimes. And his creditors, Rothstein's creditors started, getting antsy.
Where's the money, baby?
And Rothstein he kept saying, just hold on, I got a huge bet on the presidential election. Huge bet. Just wait for that. Just wait for that.
Titanic ran a Manchurian candidate.
Yeah.
But Titanic, he told Alice, he said, Rothstein's a swindler and a gangster and a very smug fellow. I don't have any kind of respect for that man. And in 28, he has an idea and he calls a friend of his. And then Ty tells Rothstein that they should go, they should partner up or they should go play this big money game of poker. And Rothstein says, I'll only do it if I partner with you. And Ty says, okay, give me some backing. Rothstein gives him $6,000. And it's a game arranged by George Hump McManus. And it's 5-card stud, $100 antes, about $1,700 today. No chips, only cash. And Rothstein agrees. He partners with Ty. And partway through the game, Ty and Rothstein are up $15,000.
Nice.
And right at this point, this man named Nathan Raymond walks in. Nathan Raymond is a notorious gambler on the West Coast, has been banned from every ballpark for affecting games with his betting.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And he had married a silent film star, and he was a rather notorious character.
She can't testify.
Sorry.
He had a particular type of a lady that he liked, and his nickname was Black Guy Nathan.
Oh, damn it.
And so Raymond walks in the room, and he says to everybody, he says, "I'm sorry I'm late, boys, but not too sorry. I just went 8 G's shooting dice." And immediately, as soon as Rothstein hears that, he says, "I'll bet you a high card for that $8,000.
Oh my God.
And so Raymond looks at Ty.
No.
Ty nods, which says, "I'll cover the 8 if you lose." And they bet. Raymond wins. And Raymond sits down to play cards with the boys. And right as this happens, Ty pulls Rothstein aside. He says, "Hey, we're not partners anymore. Here's your $6,000 back." And then Ty goes to everybody who's playing, except for Hump McManus, and says, "Hey, follow Raymond the way he bets." And then Ty starts playing possum, and he lets everybody else just milk Rothstein nonstop. The game goes on for 30 hours.
Holy shit.
By the end of it, Rothstein owes over $500,000 to people in the room.
Oh, God.
But all he left were IOUs. And over the next 6 weeks,
That
Rothstein...
smiley faces.
yeah, and said, "I love you.
Yeah.
Hey, your money's eventually here.
The check's in the mail, sweetheart.
Wait for the election." Over the next 6 weeks, Rothstein would be threatened multiple times. One time, someone tried to abduct him, but they accidentally abducted a barber who looked like him.
Yes.
And they threw him in the park when they figured out it wasn't him.
Yeah.
And 6 weeks after this game, he was invited to a hotel room in the Park Central. Hump McManus was there, along with
Hump McManus. God, the Irish guys always get great nicknames.
Yeah.
along with Gilly Biller, the bagman, and a couple other people. One of them pulls a gun on Rothstein, who says, "I think I'll be leaving, boys," and then they shoot him. And Rothstein stumbles into the lobby, and he says, I think I've been shot." And he's lying on the ground dying. A cop comes over, he says, "Who shot you?" And Rothstein says, "You stick to your trade, I'll stick to mine." And then he dies.
That's true. He never ratted on who shot him.
And if they had waited just a few more days, Rothstein would have paid him back with the over $500,000 he would have won from the election bets he had done.
No way.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And so this is huge news.
Oh,
Rothstein killed.
Out of the game.
And so Ty gets held as a material witness. He pays his $100,000 bail, goes off to a golf course, beats a golf pro of some money. Hump gets tried for the murder of Rothstein. Ty gets called as a star witness, but first he just randomly comes down with pleurisy, and he's stuck in a hospital in Milwaukee. He can't testify.
Poor
right
guy.
away. Yeah, he's never sick, but just
Pleurisy. Ooh.
But he eventually comes into New York. He's 37 years old, and the last thing he wants is people to know who the fuck he is. And he would later say, "I famous myself out of a good situation."
Yes.
Because he's the talk of the town in the papers. This tall, sharp-eyed man out of nowhere with his great name.
Yeah, big dick.
Everybody's talking about his big dick.
Lusitania Larry.
So this is what the Times wrote. They wrote, "Thomas was quite the sartorial picture among the witnesses. There was not a sag or a wrinkle in his close-fitting suit of light brown. The silk handkerchief, edged with matching brown, drooped from his breast pocket. His tan shoes were twin mirrors of eye polish. His plentiful hair was slicked to the last hair. He was a big man, probably on the 6-foot mark, and of powerful physique. His eyes were sunk deep in his face, rather boyish, by the way. And his eyebrows, heavy and jet black, added to the cavernous effect of his eyes.
Bulge in his crotch area.
Yeah.
I don't know what religion he was.
I killed Bassa on him like you'd find at your local butcher's.
He's in Chicago.
Must be from fucking Chicago.
And,
Salami, then.
And it looped around like it does in the package.
yeah.
Eating its own tail.
The Ouroboros of cocks.
He's called to the stand. He says, they ask him what he does for a living. He says, I play a little golf for money. And then he says, I don't remember things.
It's hard to remember
There's
things.
so much blood going in my cock.
Yeah.
My memory's not.
I like to think a lot of my memories are stored down there.
He said,
Take a look. See if you can pump it for information.
He said, if I bet on a horse today and won 10 grand, I couldn't recall the horse's name tomorrow. And the prosecutor said, is poker a game of chance? And he said, not the way I play it. And so there's a lot of laughter in the gallery there.
He's so charming.
But he would say, Hump McManus, he said he was a swell loser. He said, he didn't think he could have done it. And everybody kind of agreed that, Hump.
That guy's all right.
Yeah. His name's Hump after all. And Hump gets acquitted. But Titanic Thompson, his name in print, somehow becomes Titanic Thompson.
Yes, not Thomas.
It just, like, you go through the archives of newspaper.com and just, it's like, as soon as the court case is over, there's no more Titanic Thomas found in the newspaper. It's all Titanic Thompson.
God, they were all so fucking hot.
What a free new identity. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm not Titanic Thomas. I'm Titanic Thompson.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy.
No.
Yeah. But
That guy's a mess.
Yeah.
no, but
Heard he has a big dick, though.
But Thompson was the one that was in the newspaper, so he was where it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He was that now.
Yeah.
But he also he didn't correct the reporters about his last name, but he also didn't correct them about one other thing, about who killed Rothstein. And he would tell friends that it was actually bagman Gilly Biller who had done it, and not Hump McManus.
He's a bad guy.
Well, it's more embarrassing to be killed by Gilly Biller than Hump McManus.
Yeah.
If
You were
Sounds
killed
like
by a bag man?
Gilly Biller.
I'm a bag daddy. Ball bag, man.
Oh, sweet bag and bull bag.
So after the case, Hump's found not guilty. Ty leaves New York. He drops Alice at Pittsburgh, and Ty would never return to New York. And because of the national press, when he would stop in big cities, the people would get word of it, and the cops would telegram New York and be like, "Hey, this guy's here. Anything we should know?" And so one time he's in Little Rock, and he's arrested for illegal gambling. Or as the police chief said to the newspaper, making golf too expensive for members of our local country club.
Yes.
And one night, so in Little Rock, he's arrested for that, and he's in jail. And the night he's in jail, he hears that Alice has died. She got hit by a speeding car.
Oh, my God.
And
3 weeks earlier, he'd hired somebody to soup up a Pace Arrow.
and
He had burned out all the traffic lights.
she wouldn't be his last wife, but his last wife would say that Alice was the only one he really loved.
Oh.
Wow, that's sad.
Yeah. So he moves back to L.A. to find Howard Hughes, and he starts getting in with the movie crowd to try to get closer to Hughes. And
Meets a nice young man named Scotty Bauer, who also has a hog on him.
if only Scotty, it was too early for Scotty.
Yeah.
But
I bet you won't eat that sandwich.
I bet you won't like whatever sandwich this guy's gonna make.
All right.
Okay.
Did he wash the lettuce?
someone replaced the shit with meat.
Sorry, folks. That's an inside joke. You got to listen to the Scotty Bowers episode. But do that and then come back.
And he sleeps with various movie actresses, Myrna Loy, Jean Harlow among them, and others who wouldn't give their name. But then he finds out in 31 that Hughes had stopped playing golf, and the local pro that Ty had swindled out of so much money started spreading the word about him. There's no action left in Hollywood for him.
Yeah.
He sells his Beverly Hills home. He moves back east. And as he's driving across the country in 1932, he picks up 2 teenage sisters.
Oh, God.
17-year-old Yvonne Rainey and her 15-year-old sister Joanne. He's 39, almost 40.
They almost add up to his age.
Yeah. They do. And almost. And in Tyler, Texas, he wins $500 in golf. He tips his caddy $20 for the $500, about $400 today. And that night, while he's standing at the motel with the sisters, he hears someone breaking into his car. And he goes down there because he had set up his car like the horn would go off if anybody's tried to hotwire it.
Yeah, the club or something.
Yeah. And he goes down to his car. He doesn't see anybody. He's walking back to his hotel, and he hears someone say, put up your hands. And so Ty then falls to one knee, spins and fires, and he kills, and he walks up to it, and it was the caddy that he had tipped. And the caddy, because the caddy was like, he must have tons of money with him.
Holy shit.
Fucking asshole. And by the time, when the cops get there, the kid's not dead yet, but the kid says, no, I was trying to hold him up, and he shot me.
Oh, the kid confesses?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. So he's a hero again.
Yeah.
I'll leave town with these 2 teenage girls.
Exactly.
You want to come?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, again, the sheriff lets him off. That's the 5th man he's killed. And
So he did die.
He did die, yeah.
Now, what about these teenage girls?
Well, so eventually, Yvonne, she just stays behind, and so to not violate the Mann Act, Ty marries 15-year-old Joanne.
Right. The Mann Act is the transporting basically white girls across state lines.
He's 40 by this point. She's
Weird
15.
how it's called the Mann Act.
How that Mann Act? Badly.
Yeah, he's 40. She's 15 by this point.
Oh,
so
God.
And you could just do that, huh?
Yeah. I mean, you can
What, are
still
you getting
do.
wistful?
Yeah, I'm nostalgic.
Yeah. Great conversation. How was school today?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I still can't read. Just like you.
Anyway, here's how you juice the cafeteria lady. Get her to bring you juice.
Yeah, you put the sloppy Joe in your pocket, and then you say, whoops, there's no sloppy Joe.
I didn't get none. It wasn't sloppy enough.
It's almost all gone. You bring me the sloppy Joe, I eat it.
So that's Joanne's his 3rd wife. And he starts hustling golf again. This time he starts doing it with partners. And so what he'd do is he'd have his partner dress like some fucking hick or like some idiot. And then so he would play a match, and then he would lose, and you go, fuck, like, you guys suck. I bet I could beat you with that fucking loser over there.
Yeah.
And that guy's like fucking like dinging out to the ocean.
Yeah,
and
he's
stuff.
like eating.
John Daly.
Yeah. He's washing his balls in the ball washer.
Yeah, exactly. And usually the fucking idiot was also like some brilliant golfer from like 2 towns over.
Yeah. Just has a big dumb hat.
Yeah. And so
Stupid little ball on it.
Oh, the poof ball?
Yeah, the poof balls.
yeah. But you know, it's sometimes you needed tricks too. So one time in a close match, an opponent hit a ball into the trap, and so Ty paid someone to run ahead and put a $10,000 bill in the sand trap. And so when Ty's opponent got to the sand trap, he picked up the bill and he said, "Hey, look what I just found." And Ty said, "You know, it's a 1-stroke penalty if you move anything in the hazard." And then he beat him by 1 stroke.
For presumably more than $10,000.
Yes.
Hey, so he threw away $10,000
To win
100,000.
Yeah. To win, no, maybe $10,000. Like,
Oh, just to win.
yeah, like yeah,
No eyebrows would be raised at a $10,000 bill in the sand trap.
These were strange times.
These
John.
were strange times. A lot of people were like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
40-year-old guy, 15-year-old girl, fine.
I mean,
$10,000 in a sand trap, fine.
things happen.
Stranger things have happened.
hey, is this weird? Well, he's got a 15-year-old wife. I mean, okay, that's fair. Yeah.
Cool.
Hey, you want to hear something weird? My caddy tried to kill me.
Then I killed him.
Yeah. Then I killed him.
I had a 3-way with these prepubescent broads.
And it sucked.
Yeah, they didn't know anything. They
But
stink.
cops love me.
Yeah.
More people I kill, I swear to God.
The luckier I get.
I mean, he told a story about one time when he was still living in L.A., these guys held him up when he was leaving a golf course, and they took $10,000 that he won that day, and then they took the $8,000 from that he had hidden in his sock, and they threw him off a hill. And he said, like a week later, the cops found the guys, but the cop who arrested them
Knew where they threw it.
never was seen again because he took the money and just left. Oh. So yeah, this is a guy with tons of loose change
Yeah.
that cops are very happy to.
Yes. He's got it in sacks and satchels.
Yeah.
And, I mean, all you need is a car and a couple gals, sisters.
What do you need?
In 1933, he makes his last bet on horses. He had thought he had the whole thing rigged. He paid off all the jockeys, and he puts down $120,000 on a horse named Nellie A. It's about $2.8 million today. And right near the end of the race, Nellie falls and breaks its leg, and all the other jockeys try not to win.
Just running backwards.
Yeah, they start a battle amongst each other.
Somebody call Mr. Hands. We need a distraction.
We need Mr. Feet at this point.
Only Mr. Hands can revive that horse.
Too deep?
I see 3 of them out there. Dude.
Oh
my
Fuck
God.
the middle.
So he loses that bet because like you can't stop. One of the horses eventually finishes, of course. Yeah. And
Oh my God, I know which one.
Yeah.
I bet I know which one.
and you can't fix everything. And so Ty would have won $1.5 million, which is about $35 million today. But he
On one horse race, that is fucking bonkers.
yeah.
But also, like, he's worth way more than that.
No.
Oh, no.
He put $120,000 on it. He lost everything he had.
Jesus.
And Nick the Greek sends him a consolatory telegram saying, like, only fools bet on horses. And he laughs at it, knowing that Nick has lost tens of millions on horses.
Oh, yeah.
I would know.
So he goes
Experience.
He goes back to golfing, and while he's golfing, like again, we go back to the professional amateur, thing. He becomes friends with Ben Hogan, Ben Nelson, Sam Snead, all guys who would become legends of golf, who at this point were pros, but they weren't making so much money as pros that they couldn't make more money gambling.
They were in the open mic era of professional golfing.
Yeah, and Snead even. He plays Snead for a round, and after the round, Snead tries the next round. I'll play left-handed if you want trick on him, and he's like, okay. And so they both agree that they should avoid each other from now on.
No way!
Yeah,
That's dope.
yeah.
Well, left-handed, huh?
Yeah, I invented that.
Hogan would say he was the Ty was the best shot maker I ever saw. Snead called him golf's greatest hustler.
Wow.
But the big thing about Ty didn't trust skill. One time he was playing a $20,000 match, and in that match,
I trust corruption and
Yes.
fraudulent things.
Manipulation.
Subversion. Con jobs.
Yeah.
Things that.
Game of subversion, you know.
No, I'll never forget one time I bet on a horse, fucking ate shit right in front of the finish line.
Yeah.
And the fucking jockeys went to war with each other.
This guy climaxed because of it.
one time in a $20,000 golf match, Ty just out of nowhere he started using a new set of golf balls. They had a steel center in them.
Oh,
That's legal?
no.
Well, at the time, yeah,
Oh, really? You
Yeah.
could just do that?
yeah, because those were there were tons of different types of golf balls. And he made every putt. And what had happened is that the night before he had paid a handyman to
Put a magnet?
magnetize
Oh my
each
God,
hole.
damn it.
Yeah. That's why he didn't trust skill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because cheating was way better.
Yeah, science.
Yeah.
Science beats skill.
You know what I trust? Landscapers.
Dude, magnetizing the fucking hole. This is like those Now You See Me movies, you know? They're just so clever with those movies, you know?
I know.
They're always one step ahead.
Well, the thing is that people still don't know how magnets work.
That's true.
That's fact.
Or juggling.
I taught myself to juggle this weekend.
Yeah, one hand too.
John saw it.
Yeah, I did. He did it for like a minute.
Was it cool?
It sure was, man.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, it sure
Dude,
was.
all right.
I was entertaining some children, and I thought I would be stupid, and then all of a sudden, part of it kind of worked for a minute.
He was like, look, kids, it's me.
What?
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, we'll see if it sticks.
I'll try magnets. So in 1939, Evansville, Indiana had just had a giant oil boom. And, no, seriously,
No.
tons of oil wells.
Where?
Like all Evansville,
Indiana?
Indiana.
Got it.
And, God, I hope it's Indiana. And, so all of the farms were being bought out by speculators and all of these people. And the country clubs are there's tons of money there. You know, you think about like the place in Montana where people are basically a similar thing, but not as not as good now. I don't know if it was good back then either. And so Ty goes, that's where the money is. Okay. And he goes there and he runs back into Hubert Coates, who's now known as Daddy Warbucks because he had this big bald head, kind of like the guy from Annie. Mm-hmm. And so they team up together and they go to North Carolina. And then
Daddy Warbucks. I need a Tylenol.
And they make a ton of money. And at one point, Ty actually cheats Coates, Daddy Warbucks, out of some money, and then gives it back to him by losing to him on the golf course. It's like okay, well, you got me first. You got me twice because you said I
caught him.
You said I didn't pay you enough, and then you found out how much I actually made, and I didn't pay you that either. So I'll give it to you by losing to you at golf.
Right.
And so, Daddy Warbucks was a guy who's fucking a huge dude who was a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And there was a whole he actually tried to kill Ty over the money to the point where he knew what hotel he was staying at, and Ty heard he was showing up. And so Ty sat by the elevator door for 3 hours waiting for him to show up. And then Coke put a gun to his head because he had taken the stairs.
Oh, that's
he out Titanic the Titanic.
Yeah. And so Ty laughed and was like, "Okay, you got me."
And that guy took off a Mission Impossible mask, and it was actually Amarillo Slim or something.
And so with the gun to his head, Coke said, "Let's go play some golf." And so Ty was like, "Okay, I should lose all of my money to this guy."
We're gonna have a nice game, see?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we're gonna take it real nice and easy out there.
And Coates was a pool gambler, and so when he putted, he used his pool cue.
Yeah.
You can do that?
No, you can't.
No, but when you
but he did it?
You got a gun to your head.
You're gonna let someone do that.
Got it.
But they would golf together as partners, and Coates was a good enough golfer that they basically made a ton of money from North Carolina back to Indiana. And
so he's got money again.
Yes, and when they get back to Indiana, then Ty puts down a ton of money on oil leases.
Oh.
And, there's a story of one farmer wouldn't sell, and so Ty showed up with a basket full of $20,000 and put it on his porch and just said, there it is if you want it. And then that guy sold. Once you see the money in a physical form,
It was real.
So he buys a house, and he has these oil wells. They start making about $200 a day. About if you add that out through the whole year, it's about $1.6 million today. Per year. And he buys a house. Joanne moves in. And
she must be all of 19 by now.
Yeah. And it's there in Evansville where there's the pool halls start making a ton of money. And it's there in Evansville where Ty befriends, and one night loses $30,000 to New York Fats, a.k.a. Double Smart Fats, a.k.a. eventually Minnesota Fats.
Wow.
The fat man walked in with an alligator case. Inside was an alligator pool cue.
Gator.
He was a gator boy. But he had multiple pool cues and cases of different animal skins that all matched.
Oh my God.
Because he's the greatest pool player.
Yeah.
And they would play what was called one pocket.
Yes.
It's where you both, from the side you break on, you each have a pocket.
Yeah, you call a pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you break, and then every shot you make has to be in the pocket.
Yeah. Right.
Anything that doesn't make you lose a point. Every shot that goes in, you can hit any ball, goes in the pocket.
Yeah, I just learned about this game.
Yeah.
I did not know about it.
It is called that is the.
It's like the pool shark game.
It's the one. If you are good at pool, that's the game you play.
Yeah.
I think Amarillo Slim said that 8 ball is for people who want to make the newspaper.
Huh. Well.
And so by the mid-40s now, Ty has the FBI has started a file on him. He becomes a father. He becomes a father for the first time. And Joanne says he tells Joanne it's either him or the kid. She says, "I'm going to keep the kid." So he gives her the house and the oil wells, and he leaves.
Oh my God! What the fuck?
Again, if he has money, what does that mean to him? If he's broke and has to make money.
Gotcha.
The action.
The action is the juice.
The action is the juice, and his lady is the sea.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
what a good wife you would be.
He starts traveling again. He finds his way into Virginia Beach. He marries Maxine Melton. He's 53. She's 16.
Jesus fuck!
He says she's an older woman compared to his usual 15-year-old
Best
brides.
user behind her.
Yep.
She's ancient. So wizened old crone.
I don't know if people were smitten. There's something about him. It probably was the money. I mean, they say, everybody says the eyes. He had these eyes, but I don't know. The eyes sound freaky.
I mean, it does. I just don't. I don't think it was that uncommon. It's just gross.
No, you're right. Yeah, it is. It's definitely gross.
One
yeah.
after another, too.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so that's wife number 4. 1954, they moved to Arkansas, or somewhere around 54. They moved to Arkansas. She gets pregnant. He leaves her with the kid. He throws a stag party for his divorce.
Oh my God.
The cops get an anonymous tip. Cook writes in his book, probably Maxine. And the cops arrive to find the 61-year-old Ty in bed with one of the underage girls he had hired to be hostesses for the party. Oh. They arrest him and charge him with delinquency of a minor. He's sentenced to 2 years in the state penitentiary. But before he serves his sentence, he drives to Missouri, where an old oil friend lives. And his friend's daughter, Jeanette, was 18. When she was 11, Ty had told her that he was going to marry her one day.
And he's a man of his word.
And he showed up to fulfill that promise. She would be his 5th and final wife. He marries her and then goes to jail.
Wow.
Yeah, he's 61, she's 18.
Yeah, but when he gets out, she's the ripe old age of 20.
Yeah. And he's 59, because you only get younger. And
Yeah.
he only serves 8 months because of good behavior. And he's
Flipping coins everywhere.
He bet the CEO, like, I bet you I'll be out in 18 months.
exactly.
Throwing keys into the other cells and shit.
You want to get out?
And then he starts pounding around with Amarillo Slim. Amarillo Slim tells a story about Amarillo Slim was playing pool with this guy, and Ty goes, just out of nowhere, just starts making a scene, going, Slim, this guy sucks. He's terrible. And he starts waving his arms over his head, and so as he does this, his coat comes up, and everybody can see the gun that is in his waistband. And the guy's like, fuck you, man. And he's like, oh, you got a problem with this? And the guy's like, no, like, I see your gun. I'm not going to I don't want anything to do with you. And then Ty goes, what gun? And so everybody in the bar gets involved in this bet that he has a gun and he swears he doesn't have a gun.
Oh.
And they strip him naked and find no gun. And he wins a ton of money off of them.
Yeah.
For
Did he
proof.
keister it or something?
Collects it naked. Everybody sees his huge dong.
I thought it was a Tommy gun.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, and Slim says they looked through the trash. They never found a gun anywhere, but they all saw him with a gun.
I don't have a gun. What gun?
Yeah.
You got a gun, dude. You want to bet on it?
Yeah, exactly.
No, you must have been looking at my huge hog.
Just a man who's like, I'm bored. I'm going to fucking think of some bullshit.
That's cool.
In 1964, I'm sorry.
And we don't know how he keisted it.
Yeah, he definitely keisted it.
almost
shoved it all the way.
He hollowed out his anus in those 18 months of prison time.
What they didn't know was...
What they didn't know was that during those 18 months, he used his graduated cylinders to
Yeah.
slowly dilate his anus and rectum.
Yeah.
You know,
When he started the ancient Thai art of goatsy.
yeah, when the guys in the bar took his diaper off, they should have realized that. In 59, Jeanette gives birth to a boy, and in response to this, she finds a shoebox full of cash in the closet where Ty's suits used to be. But however, 3 years later, he would return. He was...
Let me see that boy.
I mean, by 3 years later, he's over... He's
ancient.
He's ancient. He's late 60s, early 70s. Where the fuck is he gonna go? In 1964, he pulls one of the most elaborate pranks. The day after, so in 64, Don Stickney beats Jack Nicklaus for the Ohio Amateur Golf Championship. And so that day, Ty shows up at Stickney's house, or he calls him on the phone or something and says like, hey, I want to work with you. Stickney's mom says like, no, this guy's a fucking creep. Stickney's 18. He's like, okay, sure. They make a
fucking creep.
They make a ton of money off of this, like one of these heiresses from various oil or food or some shit, and more money than Stickney's ever seen just off of one game. And so Stickney's like, okay, and he's like, I want to play a ton of golf with you. And Ty says, no, we're going to this golf course, and you're just gonna ride a tractor for a month. And what Ty had done is next to the golf course was a piece of farmland, and he had leased it for a month. And he had Stickney just ride a tractor up and down that farmland for an entire month.
Dropping golf balls.
No, just riding a tractor, wearing overalls. And so at the end of the month...
You'll be my indentured man servant.
Be the lawnmower man.
And so at the end of the month, Stickney's looking over and he sees Ty is playing these two guys for tons of money. And he's pissed, and he's throwing his clubs, and he's going like, this guy's with me, my partner sucks. You guys suck. I'll play you with anybody you want. And these two guys look around, and they go, how about that fucking guy in overalls on a tractor?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And so then Ty and Stickney beat the shit out of these guys for, I don't even remember how much money, but
my God.
Ton of money. A whole...
That's crazy. For a month.
Yeah.
Holy shit. He's like, I still farm to this day.
Mister, I think I like farming.
I mean, you also have to know that, like, Jack Nicklaus, you know, he was really successful in golf. Maybe because he didn't spend a month on a tractor.
Yeah.
It's hard to get them days back.
Yeah. At that age.
High tide being 2020 and all.
Mm-hmm. Sometime around then, you know, by now Ty is back. He's domesticated enough, even though he's still traveling around and cheating. But his first son, the boy from Evansville, shows up. Tommy, his name. And Tommy, you know, Tommy came from plenty of money, all this oil money.
Right.
And he became like an incredible card cheat and like super sleight of hand guy. But it was like a quote unquote rock star. Later in life, he would convert to religion and, you know, renounce his ways, and now he makes speeches in prison about how, you know...
Oh, in prison?
Okay. Well, no, I mean, two prisoners.
Okay. Yeah. So he was doing the same thing. He's like, you're my daddy, and I know it.
Yeah.
And so he and Ty start hustling games together, and hitting the road. But eventually, like, Ty, he's just fucking old, and he can't hit a golf ball like he used to, and he's reduced to, like, old man tricks, where he'd go...
like taking your nose?
A little more elaborate.
Quarter behind the ear.
Yeah. He'd go, I bet I can hit 2 golf balls in the hole from 20 feet with 3 strokes. And people go, all right. And then he'd just put 2 balls together and hit them both at the same time with his first shot, and then putt them both in with 1 shot. And it was like, oh, okay. It's not exactly guy on a tractor
Grandpa's
thing.
drunk again.
Yeah. So he's just a lot of these type of things. But his last big thing is he started putting money on young golfers and betting on them. And so one of them originally was Lee Trevino, who would become, I believe he's a Hall of Fame golfer now, but would win multiple majors on the PGA Tour. And he would do things like Trevino was also a gambler himself, and who had taught himself how to play golf with a Dr. Pepper bottle. He spent a year practicing with a Dr. Pepper bottle in order to hustle people. He would go, I'll play you with a Dr. Pepper bottle, I don't care, and beat them with a Dr. Pepper bottle.
Oh, wow, putting it. Okay.
Putting it, hitting it off, just throwing the ball in the air and hitting it with the Dr. Pepper bottle.
Crazy.
Oh, cool.
And so Ty he'd play around and go like, whatever, I can beat you guys, and I'll take that fucking poor ass Mexican kid. He doesn't even own any clubs.
He's just got a Dr. Pepper bottle.
He doesn't have a window to piss in, or a bucket to throw it out.
So he started using Trevino, and then eventually he found this guy Raymond Floyd, who was a youngster. Eventually, would also become a very successful professional golfer. But when he was 22 years old, and Ty backs him in a legendary match against Trevino. 3-day match, 54-hole affair. I believe it was either in Mexico or right on the border. And Trevino had all of his Mexican backers, tons of money on both ends. And 54 holes, Floyd won on the last hole when Trevino, putting for an eagle to match him, Floyd won by 1 stroke, and Trevino's putt rimmed around the lip and didn't fall.
So somebody rimmed around the lip during this 54-hole affair? Huh. Sounds pretty hot.
And Ty won $50,000 from that, but the whole point of it was for him to get into a poker game with all of the backers of Trevino. Oh. And he was set in there to make another $100,000 when the guy he was cheating with got cold feet and
Didn't show up?
No, he didn't read Ty's signal and folded when he was supposed to bet. And Ty pulled him aside and said, "If you ever do that again, I'll kill you."
Oh God, I have killed several people.
Yeah,
and been.
I'll probably get the keys to the city.
Yeah.
And but the golf match between those two had become legendary. It was it's the signal of the last great money match of golfers, because by that point both of those guys could make way more money playing.
Yeah, I gotta say that. I mean, the most limiting thing about this profile is I didn't know there was such outlaw culture in golf.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, same. Yeah,
I had no fucking idea. Like, holy shit. I mean, because all these guys with their fucking their gold jackets or whatever.
Green.
What did I say?
Gold. But yeah, that's the same idea.
I think they're gold in Happy Gilmore. That's why I said
Oh, yeah.
classic guys like Shooter McGavin. But yeah, I bet when they're all together, they're thinking about how stuffy this shit is. But when those guys are all chiefing fucking stogies, they're probably talking about this fucking Alvin animal.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the real shit.
Yeah.
You know?
So it was Floyd who was talking about, Raymond Floyd was talking about his hands. And Ty was in his 70s. And Floyd says, I remember his hands. Ty was 70-something, but he had the hands of a 25-year-old.
Yeah, I wonder where he got those.
It's an odd word to use about a man's hands, but they were beautiful. Well, it didn't...
These hands have only ever touched golf clubs
Yeah.
and teenage girls.
Yeah, not a lot of hard labor.
Yeah.
There's a guy I know who, one of his favorite gags is he'll take your hand and go, never done an hour of hard labor in your life. And, but so this was Ty is getting old at this point. In the 70s, he was invited as a celebrity guest to the first World Series of Poker.
Wow.
Just because all those guys are going hey, well,
That's the guy.
That's the guy.
Yeah.
And he would try to, they said when they played with him, they could see him looking at they could see him cheating.
Yeah.
And when he dealt, they would let him win the hand, and then they would just play normal after that.
Wow.
Because they respected him, but also
They only hired 35-year-old waitresses.
anybody over 20, really.
Yeah.
Wanting money or needing money. He tried to sell Doyle Brunson his knowledge of card percentages, and Doyle was like, everybody already knows that now.
Damn.
And so Doyle said that he became for a minute or two, he just became really sullen, and then he perked up and said, "You want to play horseshoes?" And so people stopped gambling with him. Money wasn't coming in. He could still golf a little. His wife, Jeanette, said in a month she saw him make 3 holes in 1, which is insane to me, and I don't believe it, but I don't know why she'd lie about it.
I mean, I kind of get, I believe it. I mean, he's spent a lot of time flicking cards into that hat, man. You know? Getting pennies to stand up.
They were at a miniature golf course, right?
Yeah. Eventually, though, they put him in an old folks' home, and he was really pissed about it until he saw there was a card table there, and he beat the old folks out of their Social Security money.
Oh my God!
And he would even pay some of the young nurses to get naked and dance for him.
That's cool.
And there's one at least once he paid one of them just to let him touch her, not sexually, just so he could just touch young skin.
Oh my God!
Feel my hands; they're like yours.
And then one day he's playing poker with his son Tommy, and Ty told him while they're playing poker, he said, "Hey, you know that story about me meeting my dad? That never happened. I never met my dad."
Wow.
I told that story so many times, maybe I believed it.
Wow.
And Tommy said, I have a secret too.
I'm not your son.
I've been cheating you out of money while we were playing cards right now.
Oh.
And Ty stood up and he hugged him and he said, I guess I'm going to die here. I just want to tell you I love you, son.
Oh.
Damn.
And then he had a stroke and died not long after that.
Oh my God.
At his funeral, a young nurse put a rose on his casket.
Yeah, dude, she fucking took a look at the fucking hog. She saw the hog. She saw the hog.
Okay.
Okay.
Little did he know, he had made a realistic life model decoy to be in the casket. You know, he was driving the tractor at his own funeral, 100 yards away, watching him.
So there's a couple of things I have quoted. One of them, quote from Ty, he said, "Nobody ever got hustled who didn't ask for it one way or another." I think that's interesting. I think it's easy to dismiss the effects.
It's the same thing as Ted Bundy saying when people look at him with fear in their eyes, don't they want to be killed?
Yeah. Yes, very much
It's
so.
that sort of thing. You're going like, I think we've assumed our roles here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and according to the Mexican News article in 62, Thompson was, quote, he was looking for, quote, larcenous-minded marks who could afford to be taken. And again, that is true in some cases,
Yeah.
but he doesn't know that in every case.
Yeah.
It's also just myth propulsion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for a lot of these, so a lot of stories are backed up, and the golf stories are often backed up by people who saw them.
Right.
The poker stories can be backed up by that too. Throwing the key in the lock, that could be. But how many of these stories are Ty telling someone
Sure.
who's telling someone who's telling someone? And there's I looked them up. There's forums of people who were partners of his in pool games. Mm-hmm. There's like billiard forums of people who, and maybe I'll find some of those, bring them out on Patreon. Of like, one of them was this guy. He goes like, Ty told me to bet on this one guy, and halfway through the game, I realized that I had bet on the wrong guy, and so Ty went up to the guys I put the money with and explained what happened, and they gave him his money back.
Oh my God.
Because he's like 75 at this point.
Yeah.
And but all of these guys, like, he is a legend to all of
Right.
these pool hustler guys.
Yes.
But like he can't lose, and he won't make bets he can lose.
Yeah.
And there's this quote from John Lardner, the son of Ring Lardner, I believe, who's a famous writer, and this is what it's in the book, and he says about Titanic. He says, in the years of his early manhood, no one knew of Titanic except gamblers, a few rich suckers, a few golf pros, and by rumor, the police of the Middle West and California.
And most seventh grade girls.
If Titanic had taken from the rich and given to the poor, as Robin Hood and Jesse James are said to have done, the legend makers of the gambling world would want no part of him. He'd be the wrong kind of hero. But he has always taken very frankly to give to himself or to split with the people who stake him. He has seldom made a bet he wasn't sure of winning.
Yeah. Well, the thing is too is like you were saying with the propulsion of myth and all the stories where the fantastic things happen. It means when you sharp a sucker, they've heard all these other stories, so they believe that the impossible is possible,
Right?
Because
Yes.
it's Alvin.
Yes.
It's Titanic.
It's
fucking
Titanic,
Thompson.
yeah.
So it's like you want to keep all that shit out there.
Well, and among that, I think, like, of that idea of the mythos, there's a quote from Jeanette, his last wife, who really, she's interviewed for the book, and she was a widow at like 32 or 38 or something.
Good God.
But like we're past that age now. You can still meet people and have a great time.
Yeah, sure.
And she's got some fucking incredible stories. But about him, she said he liked to have people around, but all he needed was people to gamble with. And I think about, like, I'm trying, because when I was putting this together, I was trying to think of, like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
And is there a soul to him?
Right.
And there's just this vast empty space where other people would be in a life. Mm-hmm. And he has all of these stories, but for the mythos, what is it all worth? And it depends on whoever hears it, or it's up to each individual.
There's got to be some fame seeking at a certain point,
right? And that's what I think about the Houdini thing.
Yeah,
I feel like part of him was
jealous,
dismiss. Yeah. But I don't know if that's true.
Yeah,
he might just not really care.
Yeah, the day-to-day, moment-to-moment thing, like when he's rolling with Rothstein and the Greek and all that, is probably just day-to-day filling the hole inside you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But the other stuff, going for like the big fish and stuff like that, that's a kind of, I think,
compulsion.
But also legend building too. Because then, like, you're...
Right, but there was also, there's a point in which your legend precedes you and you no longer can do the things...
And he said, he outfamed himself. Yeah.
And also, the fact that he felt the need to tell the story about meeting his father and swindling him, but he never actually met his father.
Yeah.
But he kept telling that story.
Yeah.
What is that? Does that mean that that's the hole?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a hole there that he was like, I'm not going to become my father, or I will, and I'm going to abandon every kid.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, he did. His son was stealing from him as he told the truth about his father. So, I mean,
that's my boy.
Exactly.
It is a beautiful moment.
Yes.
If you look at it that way, where it's like, hey, man, just so you know, like, here's like everything I did wrong. And the guy goes, oh, yeah, well, I'm
doing that right now.
Yeah, I'm being like a shitty little you right now. Just like, come here,
perfect.
You little shit.
Yeah.
Pretty great.
I bet you got a big old bat on you, too, don't you, son?
Let me take a look at that.
Let me see your oil.
I bet you it's not bigger than mine.
What he didn't know was that Alvin had taken the fire hose from the fire escape.
He had taken a clay class.
He'd hired Stan Winston. Pretty great.
That's excellent, man.
It was a true profile.
Yes. I love it. Hard to know.
Yeah.
The guy.
Yeah.
But quite a legend. I mean, you're definitely leaving behind all those guys talking about you. And he knows and he knows that for sure.
Yes.
And also when he gets into it, when it is like the riverboat days, he knows that is already a thing too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just being the legend on the boat is the thing. So I would say it was filling up the hole with casual sex and one-upmanship, and then still having nothing to show for it, really. Basically,
dying of a stroke after your son steals money from you. Pretty nice way to go.
Yeah. I think that was excellent.
His son beat him by one stroke.
Oh, God.
That's a good place to end it.
That is a good place to end it, yeah. Yeah. And then he has to eat the cookie, though.
Yeah. Oh. And it was delicious.
All right, folks, we're going to say goodnight. Matt, excellent job. I love you, buddy.
Love you.
Aaron, I love you too, buddy.
You too.
I'm going to say goodnight. I love you, folks. My name is John Fahey.
I'm Aaron Pita.
I presume.
Good night, everybody. We love you.
Good night.